At Morixa Tales, we believe in the power of storytelling. Our scripts weave together deep emotions and dramatic turns to deliver justice where it is most needed. Experience captivating mysteries where the truth eventually shines through, leaving a lasting impact on your heart and mind.
My sister looked me straight in the eye and said, "If you won't be my assistant all week, then don't come." On the very vacation I paid for in full. I didn't argue. I canceled my ticket and texted back, "I'm staying home. Good luck handling it yourself." Then I made a call she never saw coming. When they walked into the resort lobby, the cameras were still rolling, and within minutes, a truth she believed would stay hidden for life was suddenly exposed. I'm so glad you clicked. Before we start, hit the comments. Where in the world are you joining from? Let's build a global conversation. Fair warning, this story includes fictionalized elements crafted for entertainment and insight. Resemblances to actual names or locations, pure coincidence. But the lesson you're about to hear, life-changing and worth every second. Ready? Let's go. The scar was still pink, a thin line across my chest where they'd cut the cancer out. 1 year tomorrow, September 22nd, 1 year alive. I traced it with my finger standing in my bathroom at 11:30 on a Monday night, still in my work clothes. The overhead light was too bright. It always was. But I'd learned during chemo that darkness made me think too much, and thinking too much led to places I couldn't afford to go. Not when I'd fought this hard to stay. The laptop in the other room was finally silent. 6 months. That's how long the Merck project had consumed my life. 6 months of 16-hour days of conference calls that started at 6 in the morning and strategy sessions that bled past midnight. 6 months of my team looking at me like I was made of steel when really I was just a woman who'd learned that survival meant you kept moving. You didn't stop. You didn't let anyone see you break. Tonight I'd push the final approval through. The new protocol would save lives. That should have felt like victory. Instead, it just felt like I could finally maybe breathe. I walked back into my living room. The apartment was too quiet. It always was. 1,400 square feet of hardwood floors and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Philadelphia skyline. I'd bought it after the divorce 3 years ago. Stephen had wanted the house in the suburbs, the one with the yard I'd never have time to maintain, and the extra bedrooms for children we'd never have. I'd wanted space, light, proof that I could build a life that was mine. The suitcase sat in the corner by the door. Packed 3 days ago because that's what you did when you were a senior vice president of operations. You planned ahead. You left nothing to chance. Inside hiking boots I'd never worn, yoga clothes still creased from the package, a bathing suit I'd bought online because I hadn't been in a pool since before the diagnosis. Hope folded neatly between layers of cotton and spandex. The itinerary was printed and clipped to my corkboard. I'd read it so many times I'd memorized every line. Juniper Canyon Wellness Estate, Sedona, Arizona, September 22nd to 27th, 2023, reservation Brooke Callahan, 3 casitas, 6 guests, $37,000. I'd said the number out loud when I'd booked it back in June just to hear how it sounded. Obscene, maybe, but I'd survived stage 2 breast cancer. I'd endured 8 rounds of chemotherapy, a bilateral mastectomy, and 28 sessions of radiation that had left my skin raw and my soul rawer. I'd earned the right to spend my money however I damn well pleased. And what I pleased was this 1 week in the desert with my family. My father, Leland, my mother, Corinne, my younger sister, Sienna, and her boyfriend, Sterling. Just us. Red rocks and silence, and maybe if I was lucky, the kind of peace I hadn't felt since the doctor had said the word malignant. I wanted them to see me whole again. I wanted my mother to stop looking at me like I was made of glass. I wanted my father to stop clearing his throat every time someone mentioned the future, like he wasn't sure I'd be in it. I wanted Sienna to stop posting filtered photos of green smoothies and calling it wellness, and actually sit across from me at a table and ask how I was doing. I wanted to feel like someone's daughter again, someone's sister, not just someone's case study in survival. The memory hit without warning. It always did. The chemo ward at Pennsylvania Hospital, the chair by the window, the woman in the chair next to mine, Linda, 52, 2 kids in college, a husband who brought her crossword puzzles she was too nauseous to solve. We'd done our infusions together for 5 months. She'd made jokes about losing her hair. I'd made jokes about losing my appetite. We'd promised we'd get margaritas together when it was over somewhere with an ocean view and waiters who didn't know the word prognosis. Linda died 4 weeks after her last treatment. Complications, they said. Infection. Her immune system had been too compromised. I'd gone to her funeral. I'd hugged her husband, who'd looked at me with eyes that said, "Why are you standing here and she's not?" I didn't have an answer. I still didn't. But I'd made her a promise in that hospital. If I make it, I'll live big enough for both of us. This trip was part of that. This obscene, overpriced, desperately hopeful trip. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. I looked at the screen. Sienna calling. My stomach tightened. Sienna didn't call this late unless she wanted something. And when she wanted something, the conversation always started the same way. Casual light, as if we were the kind of sisters who talked every day. Then came the ask, the favor, that you're so good at this, or you have the money anyway, or it would mean so much to Mom and Dad. I should have let it go to voicemail. I should have poured myself a glass of wine, taken a sleeping pill, and dealt with whatever this was in the morning when I had the armor of daylight and a full 8 hours of sleep. But I didn't. Because I was her older sister. Because I'd raised her when our parents worked double shifts to keep the lights on. Because somewhere buried under years of resentment and exhaustion and the weight of being the responsible one, I still wanted to believe that family meant something. I picked up the phone. "Hey," I said. "Brooke." Her voice was too bright, too cheerful for 11:45 on a Monday night. "Oh my God, I'm so glad you answered. I thought you'd be asleep." "Just finished work." "Still, Jesus, Brooke, you need to take care of yourself." I pressed my lips together. Sienna, who hadn't held a full-time job in 3 years, was lecturing me about self-care. "What's up?" I asked. There was a pause. Not long. Just enough for me to hear the shift in her tone, the way she did when she was gearing up for something. "So," she said, "I wanted to talk to you about the trip." And there it was, that edge, the one that meant she wanted something. I should have hung up then. Sienna didn't ask, she never did. She announced. "So," she said, her voice sliding into that tone she used when she'd already decided how things would go. "I'm bringing a few people with me to Sedona. Like 6 of my content creator friends. We're doing this whole wellness retreat thing, filming for our channels. You know, it's going to be so beautiful with the red rocks and everything. Very on brand." I stood up from the couch, started pacing. The hardwood floor was cold under my bare feet. "Wait," I said. "You're bringing 6 people, Sienna. I booked 3 casitas. There are already 6 of us." "Oh, it's fine," she said, steamrolling over me the way she always did. "We'll figure out the sleeping arrangements. The place is huge, right? You said it had like a main lodge or whatever. We can use the common areas for filming. That's actually why I'm calling. I need you to help out a little during the days." I stopped walking. "Help out how?" "Just like assistant stuff. Hold the ring light, manage the props, make sure nobody walks into frame during the good shots. Maybe run to Whole Foods if we need anything." "Oh, and there's this legal thing. The resort needs a waiver signed for commercial filming. Since it's in your name, you'll have to sign it." My jaw tightened. "Sienna, this is a family vacation. I didn't pay $37,000 so you could turn it into a film set." "It's not a film set," she said, and I could hear the eye roll in her voice. "It's content. And honestly, Brooke, you're just going to be resting anyway, right? Like, what were you planning to do all week? Read, get massages. This is my career opportunity. I have a chance to collab with some really big names in the wellness space. This could change everything for me." A man's voice murmured something in the background. I couldn't make out the words, but the cadence was familiar, that low, smooth tone guys used when they were coaching someone through a script. "Who's that?" I asked. "Sterling. He's helping me plan the content strategy. He's really good at this stuff, Brooke. He knows what works." Sterling. Her boyfriend of 6 months. The one she'd posted exactly 3 photos of on Instagram, all of them filtered to hell and back. I'd never met him. She'd never offered to introduce us. "Sienna, I'm not signing a commercial waiver, and I'm not spending my vacation being your assistant." There was a pause. Then her voice shifted, less bright, more sharp. "Okay, so you're really gonna be like this. Be like what?" "Selfish." The word hit like a slap. "I'm selfish," I repeated slowly. "I paid for this entire trip. The resort, the flights, yeah, and you make like what, $300,000 a year, you can afford it. I'm trying to build something, Brooke. I'm trying to create a life for myself. Not all of us got the fancy degree and the corner office. Some of us have to work harder. I pressed my hand against my forehead. The migraine that had been threatening all day was starting to claw its way through my skull. You want me to work, I said, on my vacation, the vacation I'm paying for. It's not work, she said, her voice dripping with exasperation. It's helping family. God, Brooke, this is exactly why Mom always says you don't understand what it's like to really struggle. You've had everything handed to you. Handed to me. My voice cracked. I hated that. Hated that she could still do this to me. I put myself through grad school. I worked 2 jobs while I got my MBA. I've been at Merck for 15 years, Sienna. Nobody handed me a goddamn thing. Yeah, well, not all of us have your discipline, okay? She said it like it was an insult. Some of us are creative. Some of us need space to explore and grow. And right now, I need this. I need you to just be cool about it. Sterling's voice murmured again. I caught the words, just tell her. Tell me what I asked. Sienna sighed. Look, if you're not going to help, then maybe you just shouldn't come. I went very still. Excuse me. I mean it. If you're going to make this difficult, if you're going to ruin the vibe, then just stay home. We'll go without you. I'll explain to Mom and Dad that you had to work or something. It's not a big deal. My mouth opened, closed. For a second, I couldn't find words. This was the trip I'd planned, the trip I'd paid for. The trip that was supposed to be about healing, about family, about proving to myself that I was still here, still whole, still worth the space I took up in the world. And she was uninviting me. You're uninviting me, I said out loud just to make sure I'd heard her right. I'm not uninviting you, she said, her tone shifting back to that fake patience. I'm just saying, if you're going to have this attitude, it's going to ruin everything. So maybe think about what's more important, your ego or your family. I laughed. It came out sharp and bitter. My ego. I have to go, Sienna said. Sterling and I have a call with one of the sponsors in 5 minutes. Just think about it. Okay, I'll text you the details for the waiver thing tomorrow. Sienna. Love you, sis. The line went dead. I stood there in the middle of my living room phone pressed to my ear, listening to the silence where her voice had been. Then I did something I almost never did. I threw the phone. It hit the couch cushion, not satisfying enough. I wanted to hear it shatter. I wanted to hear something break that wasn't me. My chest was tight, my hands were shaking, and that edge of panic I'd learned to recognize during chemo was starting to creep in. The feeling that the walls were closing in, that I couldn't breathe. That nothing I did mattered because cancer or sisters or life itself would just keep taking and taking and taking until there was nothing left. I pressed the heels of my hands against my eyes. Breathe. Count to 4. Exhale. My therapist's voice in my head. The coping mechanisms I'd learned when the fear got too big. But this wasn't fear. This was rage. My phone buzzed from the couch. Once, twice, 3 times. I walked over, picked it up. 17 new messages in the family group chat. Mom, Sienna just called. She's so excited about the trip. Did she tell you about the content retreat idea? So creative. Dad. Your sister is really stepping up, building a business. You should support her. Sienna, love you guys. Can't wait for this week. I scrolled up. There were more. Messages from an hour ago while I'd still been at work, completely unaware that my vacation was being hijacked. Sienna, hey fam, quick heads up. I'm bringing a few friends to the resort. We're going to create some amazing content. Brooke's going to help with the filming logistics since she's not doing much this week anyway. So excited to collaborate as a family. Mom, that's wonderful, honey. Dad sounds great. Sienna Brooke's being a little weird about it, but I'm sure she'll come around. She always does. My vision blurred. They'd already decided, all of them, before she'd even called me. My phone buzzed again, a new message. Mom, Brooke, call me. Let's talk about this like adults. I stared at the screen. Then I opened my laptop. 17 messages, all against me. I couldn't sit still. Couldn't stay in that living room with the laptop screen glowing and the silence pressing in. So I went to the kitchen, turned on every light, pulled out the dish soap and the sponge and started scrubbing the counter that was already clean. My hands needed something to do. Otherwise, they'd shake. It was 12:03 in the morning, Tuesday now, the day that was supposed to bring me closer to my trip to healing to family. Instead, I was reading a group chat that felt like a firing squad. I read them again, all 17. Mom Sienna just called. She's so excited about the trip. Did she tell you about the content retreat idea? So creative. Dad, your sister is really stepping up, building a business. You should support her. The ones from earlier before Sienna had even called me. Sienna. Hey fam, quick heads up. I'm bringing a few friends to the resort. We're going to create some amazing content. Brooke's going to help with the filming logistics since she's not doing much this week anyway. So excited to collaborate as a family. Mom, that's wonderful, honey. Dad sounds great. Not doing much this week. I scrubbed harder. The sponge squeaked against the granite. I'd been planning this trip for 3 months. I'd researched resorts for weeks. I'd coordinated schedules, booked flights, arranged transportation. I'd made sure the resort had the right bedding for Dad's back, made sure the kitchen was stocked with Mom's herbal teas, made sure there were activities that didn't require too much walking because Corinne's knees weren't what they used to be. Not doing much. My phone buzzed. I looked down. Mom, Brooke, we need to talk about this. Sienna is very upset. Then another. Dad, your mother is right. Call us now. I dried my hands, picked up the phone. Before I could decide whether to respond, it rang. Dad. I should have let it go to voicemail. I knew what was coming. I'd heard it my whole life, that tone, that expectation, that certainty, that if he just spoke loudly enough, I'd fall in line. But I answered anyway. Hello. Brooke. His voice was already tight. What the hell is going on? I'm not being Sienna's assistant, I said. That's what's going on. Don't be ridiculous. She needs help. Your family. That's what family does. Family doesn't demand I work on my vacation. It's not work, he said, and I could hear him shifting the phone, could picture him in his recliner in the living room, Mom probably sitting across from him, nodding along. It's helping out. Jesus Christ, Brooke, when did you get so selfish? There was that word again. I paid $37,000 for this trip, I said slowly. How is that selfish? Money isn't everything, he said. You throw money around like it solves problems, but you can't be bothered to actually show up for your family when it matters. Sienna is trying to build something. She's working hard. And you're going to sit in a spa all week and read. My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. I was planning to rest, I said. I had cancer, Dad. I spent a year, and we're all very proud of you for getting through that. He cut me off. But you're fine now. You're back at work. You're making your big salary. Sienna doesn't have those opportunities. She needs support. She's 33 years old. And you're 40, he said. You should be setting an example, being the bigger person. You don't have kids. You don't have responsibilities like she does. You don't understand what real tired feels like. The words hit like a fist to the stomach. You don't have kids. As if that made my life less valid. As if the cancer, the divorce, the 60-hour work weeks, the weight of carrying this family financially for 2 decades, as if none of that counted because I'd never given birth. Dad, just do this one thing, he said. Help your sister. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I hung up. Didn't say goodbye, didn't explain, just pressed the red button and watched his name disappear from the screen. My phone buzzed immediately, a text from Mom. Corinne Brooke, that was incredibly rude. Call your father back and apologize. If you loved us, you'd help your sister. Family comes first. Or did we raise you wrong? If you loved us. The phrase wrapped around my throat like a noose. Stephen used to say that, my ex-husband. For 5 years of marriage, every time I chose my job over his convenience, every time I said no to something he wanted. If you loved me, you'd cancel that work trip. If you loved me, you'd quit and stay home. Love as leverage. Love as a weapon. I divorced him 3 years ago. Thought I'd left that behind. But here it was again. Different voices, same script. I threw the phone. This time I aimed for the tile floor. It hit with a satisfying crack. The screen spiderwebbed but didn't shatter. Not enough. I wanted to scream. Wanted to break every dish in the cabinet. Wanted to drive to my parents' house and shake them until they really saw me as something other than a checkbook with a pulse. Instead, I pressed my hands flat on the counter and tried to breathe. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. the therapist's voice in my head. The coping mechanism I'd learned after Stephen, after the chemo, after every time the world got too big and I got too small. But my hands were shaking, my chest was tight, and the rage I'd been holding back was clawing its way up my throat like something alive. I screamed, not words, just sound. Raw and jagged and loud enough that my neighbors probably heard it through the walls. It didn't help. I sank down to the floor, pressed my back against the cabinet. Let the tears come. They didn't ask how I was doing. Not once in that entire group chat. Not one message that said, "Brooke, are you okay with this?" or "Brooke, what do you need?" Just demands. Just expectations. Just Sienna's name over and over like a prayer they all believed in. Sienna needs this. Support your sister. Don't be selfish. If you loved us? I pulled my knees to my chest, let myself cry the way I hadn't let myself cry in months. Ugly crying, the kind that made my face hot and my throat raw. And then slowly the crying stopped. The shaking stopped, and something else took its place. Something cold, something sharp. I stood up, wiped my face with the back of my hand, picked up my cracked phone from the floor. The screen still worked, barely. I walked back to the living room, sat down at my laptop. If they wanted war, I'd give them war, but I wouldn't fight blind. I opened a new browser window, typed into the search bar Sienna Callahan Instagram. It was time to find out what my sister was really hiding. Google knew everything. I just had to ask the right questions. The search results loaded in seconds. Sienna's Instagram profile appeared at the top, that little verified check mark next to her handle, like a badge of legitimacy she hadn't earned. At Sienna Soul Healing, 15,000 followers. I clicked. Her profile picture was all white linen and soft lighting. Sienna with her eyes closed, hands pressed together in prayer position, face tilted toward a window like she was communing with something divine. The bio read, "Wellness advocate, yoga teacher, helping you find your inner light. Link in bio for healing retreats." I wanted to throw up, but I didn't. Instead, I did what I'd been trained to do at Merck for 15 years. I gathered data. I scrolled through her feed. Every photo was the same aesthetic beige white, the occasional pop of sage green. Smoothie bowls arranged like art. Her in yoga poses on beaches I knew she couldn't afford to visit. Quotes about healing and self-love superimposed over sunsets. And then buried between a post about chakra alignment and one about the benefits of celery juice, I found it. June 18th. A carousel post. 5 photos of a resort that looked suspiciously similar to Juniper Canyon, though she'd filtered it to hell and back. The caption read, "Huge announcement, I'm hosting an exclusive wellness retreat this September in Sedona, Arizona. Limited spots available. Join me and a renowned healing guru for a week of transformation vortex energy work and deep soul alignment. Investment $500. Link in bio to secure your spot." This will sell out fast. $500. I clicked through the photos. She'd used stock images of meditation circles, spa treatments, red rock landscapes. Nothing that was actually hers. Nothing that was real. The comments were a goldmine. User Ashley Heals. Oh my God, I'm so in. Just paid. When do we get the guru's name? User Wellness with Tara signed up. This is exactly what my soul needs right now. User Holistic Hannah paid. Can't wait to meet you IRL. I kept scrolling. More comments, more people. Can't wait. Just booked my flight to Phoenix. Paid my deposit, so excited. My stomach turned. I opened a new tab, went to one of those websites that archives Instagram comments, copied Sienna's post, URL. Let it pull every comment ever made. 47 comments from unique users saying they'd paid. 47 people who'd trusted her. 47 people who'd handed over $500 for a retreat that didn't exist. I pulled up the calculator on my laptop. 47 times 500. $23,500. I sat back, stared at the number. She'd scammed $23,000 from her followers. And now she wanted to use my $37,000 vacation, the one I'd paid for, the one I'd planned, as my own goddamn healing retreat to fulfill the promises she'd made to those people. I wasn't paying for a family vacation. I was paying for her con. I scrolled further. The comments got uglier as the months went on. July 15th. Hey, Sienna, still haven't heard back about the itinerary. Can you send details? July 30th. It's been 6 weeks since I paid. Where's the confirmation email? August 5th. This is starting to feel sketchy. Can someone else confirm they've heard from her? August 20th, I want my money back. This was a scam. September 10th, where is my refund? I'm reporting this. And Sienna's responses, when she bothered to respond at all, were masterclasses in gaslighting. So sorry for the delay. The guru requested we keep their identity private until closer to the date for energetic protection. Trust the process. I'm getting so many DMs. Give me time to respond to everyone. Sending love and light. Refunds are against our policy as stated in the terms. This is about commitment to your healing journey. She'd posted those responses 2 weeks ago, right around the time she'd started talking about bringing her content creator friends to my resort. There were no content creator friends. There were 47 people she'd scammed who were expecting a retreat she couldn't deliver, unless she used mine. I opened another tab, LinkedIn. Sterling Blake. His profile loaded. Professional headshot, sharp suit, confident smile, the kind of smile that belonged on a billboard for a Ponzi scheme. Headline cryptocurrency investment consultant, helping clients maximize returns through innovative blockchain strategies. Location Warren, Nevada. Education Harvard Business School MBA, Stanford University BA Economics. I clicked on Stanford. The page loaded to a generic university logo, no verification, no year, no details. Fake. I went back to Google, typed Sterling Blake Warren, Nevada. The first result that came up wasn't LinkedIn. It was a warrant. Nevada State Court System. Public records, case number visible right there in the search preview. I clicked. Sterling James Blake, age 35, wanted for wire fraud and securities fraud in connection with a cryptocurrency investment scheme. 23 victims. $340,000 in losses. Warrant issued June 9, 2023. 3 months ago, I read it twice, then a third time. My sister was dating a wanted fugitive, a con artist, a man who'd stolen nearly $250,000 from people who'd trusted him, and she'd brought him into my family, was planning to bring him on my trip. I went back to Instagram, looked at the 3 photos she'd posted of Sterling, all of them carefully cropped faces turned away from the camera captions vague. My partner in crime, one of them said with a laughing emoji. Partner in crime. Jesus Christ. I screenshot everything. The Instagram posts, the comments, the LinkedIn profile, the warrant. Saved them all to a folder on my desktop labeled evidence. Because that's what this was now. Not a family vacation. Not even a conflict. A crime. Sienna wasn't just entitled, wasn't just manipulative, she was a criminal, actively scamming people, and she wanted me to be complicit in it. Wanted me to sign a waiver to use my resort to help her pull off a con that had already stolen $23,000 from people who couldn't afford to lose it. My hands were steady now. The rage from earlier had burned itself out, leaving something colder, sharper. I pulled up a new tab, started making a list. 47 victims, $23,000 stolen, 1 boyfriend with an active warrant, 1 sister who thought I was too stupid or too soft to figure it out. She'd miscalculated, because I wasn't soft. I was a senior vice president of operations at one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the country. I'd built protocols, managed crises, navigated FDA audits. I knew how to gather evidence. I knew how to build a case. And I was very, very good at my job. I looked at the clock. 1:28 in the morning. I should have been exhausted. Should have been in bed trying to sleep before another long day at work. Instead, I felt awake, clear, focused. If she'd scammed strangers, what had she done to me? I opened a new tab, typed free credit report. It was time to find out. The deeper I dug, the worse it got. The credit report tab sat open in my browser waiting, but I closed it. Not yet. I needed to finish what I'd started with Sterling first. Needed to understand exactly what kind of man my sister had brought into our lives. I went back to the Nevada warrant, clicked through to the full court documents. Sterling James Blake, born March 14, 1988, last known address, Warren, Nevada. The charges were laid out in bureaucratic language that couldn't quite hide the scope of what he'd done. Wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering. Between January and May of this year, Sterling had operated a cryptocurrency investment fund called Apex Digital Holdings. He'd promised clients returns of 30 to 40% annually through proprietary blockchain trading algorithms, and he'd stolen every dollar they'd given him. 23 victims were named in the warrant. I scrolled through the list. Patricia Gomez, age 67, retired teacher, lost $72,000 her entire retirement savings. The list went on and on. $340,000. 23 families destroyed. And Sterling, the man my sister called her partner, the man she was planning to bring on my vacation, had done it all with a smile and a PowerPoint presentation. I went back to his LinkedIn, looked at it with fresh eyes. Harvard Business School, MBA. I clicked the link. It went nowhere. Just a generic page with no verification, no details that could be checked. I tried Stanford. Same thing. Both degrees were lies. I searched Sterling Blake Harvard MBA. Nothing. No alumni records. No trace of him ever setting foot on that campus. The man had built his entire professional identity on lies, and he was good at it. Good enough that 23 people had trusted him with their life savings. I sat back, rubbed my eyes. Did Sienna know? Did she know her boyfriend was wanted by the police? I wanted to believe she was stupid, not criminal. But the Instagram scam sat open in another tab, 47 people asking for refunds that would never come, and I couldn't make myself believe she was innocent. She knew, she had to know. I pulled up Instagram again, went back to Sienna's post about the retreat, scrolled through all 47 comments from people who'd paid. Most of them were women, mid-20s to mid-40s, yoga teachers, wellness coaches. Women who'd probably scraped together $500 they couldn't really afford because they believed in Sienna's message about healing. Women who'd trusted her. I kept scrolling looking for something, a pattern, a clue, someone who'd seen through the con. And then I found it. A comment from 3 weeks ago, August 27th. Quinn Mercer, red flags here. Guru's name still not released. No detailed itinerary 3 weeks out. I've worked with retreat organizers before, and this isn't standard. DM me if anyone else is getting suspicious. I clicked on Quinn's profile. Fitness influencer looked like. 38,000 followers. Posts about weightlifting nutrition. Her bio said she was based in Denver. She'd seen it. She'd known something was wrong. I checked if Sienna had responded to her comment. She hadn't. She'd just ignored it. I screenshot Quinn's comment, added it to my evidence folder. Then I went through every single comment on that post, screenshot the ones from people who'd confirmed payment, screenshot the angry ones demanding refunds, screenshot Sienna's gaslighting responses. By the time I was done, I had 63 screenshots organized in a folder. I leaned back, looked at the clock. 2:17 in the morning. I should have been exhausted. Instead, I felt sharp, focused, clear. This wasn't just about me anymore. It wasn't even just about my family. It was about 47 people who'd been scammed, 23 families Sterling had destroyed, 70 people who'd trusted the wrong person and lost money they couldn't afford to lose. I couldn't give them their money back, but I could give them something else. Justice. I pulled up a new document, started typing. Victim list, Instagram scam. 47 confirmed via comments. Total stolen $23,500. Evidence screenshots, archived comments. Contact Quinn Mercer. First to call out scam publicly, I saved it. Added it to the evidence folder. Then I opened my email, started a draft. Subject Sienna Callahan, wellness retreat scam. I stopped, stared at the cursor. Was I really going to do this? Report my own sister. I thought about Patricia Gomez. $72,000. Her entire retirement. I thought about the woman who'd commented, just paid, "This is exactly what my soul needs right now." If I stayed silent, 47 people would never see their $500 again. Sterling would keep running. Sienna would keep scamming. I saved the draft, closed my laptop. I wasn't ready to send it yet, but I was ready for something else. I picked up my phone, opened Instagram, found Quinn Mercer's profile again. I'd message her in the morning. Not now, it was past 2 in the morning. I needed to think about what to say, how to explain that I was Sienna's sister, but I wasn't on her side. I set my phone down. I should have felt guilt, fear, grief for what I was about to do to my family, but I didn't. I just felt cold, determined. I'd spent 20 years being the good daughter, the responsible one, the one who paid for things and fixed things and kept the peace at any cost. And what had it gotten me? A sister who was a con artist, parents who saw me as an ATM, a vacation that had been hijacked before I'd even known it was under attack. No more. I opened my laptop one more time, went back to the search bar. I deferred the credit report check, told myself I'd finish with Sterling first. But there was one more thing I needed to know. How deep did Sienna's crimes go? Had she just scammed strangers, or had she... I paused, my finger hovering over the keyboard. No, not tonight. I was running on rage and adrenaline and 3 hours of sleep. If I found something worse right now, I'd make a decision I couldn't take back. I needed to be smart, systematic, strategic. I'd message Quinn in the morning. I'd finish mapping out Sienna's scam. I'd figure out exactly what I was dealing with. And then I'd decide what to do about it. I closed the laptop, stood up. Tomorrow was Tuesday, a work day. I'd have to function like a normal human being, pretend everything was fine. But tonight I'd learned something important. My sister was a criminal, her boyfriend was a fugitive, and I had 63 pieces of evidence that could destroy them both. The question wasn't whether I'd use it. The question was when. Tuesday morning I messaged Quinn Mercer. She responded in 3 minutes. I was sitting at my desk at Merck, staring at a spreadsheet I couldn't focus on when my phone buzzed with her reply. Quinn, holy shit. You're Sienna's sister. Can you talk? I'm in Denver 2 hours behind you. Call me whenever. I looked at the clock. 9:07. I had a meeting at 10, but I had time. I stepped out into the hallway, found an empty conference room, closed the door, dialed her number. Brooke. She picked up on the first ring. Yeah, hi. Jesus Christ. Her voice was low, urgent. I've been trying to get people to listen for 3 weeks. Your sister blocked me on Instagram. I filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, but they said since it was a private transaction, there wasn't much they could do. I even tried reporting her account, but Instagram didn't take it down. I know, I said. I saw your comment last night. That's why I'm calling. What's going on? Is she really your sister? Unfortunately. Quinn laughed, but there was no humor in it. Okay, so, what do you know? I told her. Not everything I didn't mention Sterling's warrant yet, didn't mention the $37,000 I'd spent on a trip that was supposed to be mine. But I told her enough. She's planning to use a resort I booked to fulfill the retreat promises she made. She wants me to be her assistant. I refused, and then I started digging. And she scammed 47 people, $23,500. There's no guru. There never was. She was going to show up with some friends' film content and call it a retreat. Silence on the other end. Then, I knew it. I fucking knew it. I have screenshots, I said. Every comment, every promise she made, her responses, all of it. Can you send them to me? I can. But I need to know something first. If I build a case against her, if I report this to the police, will people testify? Hold on. I heard rustling, a door closing. Okay, listen, I created a group chat, 46 of us, people who paid and never got refunds. We've been trying to figure out what to do. Most of them are scared to lose the money, but a few of us are pissed enough to take action. If you're serious about this, I can connect you. I'm serious. Okay, give me your number. I'll add you. She hung up. 10 seconds later, my phone buzzed, a group chat invitation. Sienna Callahan scam victims, evidence gathering. I joined. 46 people. The chat was active messages flying by faster than I could read them. One victim, the 47th, had stopped responding weeks ago. Quinn said she'd deleted Instagram entirely after the scam. Couldn't blame her. Quinn, everyone meet Brooke. She's Sienna's older sister. She's on our side. She has evidence. She wants to help. The chat exploded. Tatum Waite, her sister. Blair, is this a trap? Gemma. How do we know we can trust her? Quinn. She reached out to me. She has screenshots of everything. She's not defending Sienna. She's trying to take her down. I typed, I know you have no reason to trust me, but my sister scammed you and she tried to scam me too. I want to help. I work in pharmaceuticals. I know how to build a case. If you're willing to testify, I can make sure this gets to the right people. Another pause, then messages started coming in. Reese, I'm in. I'm a wellness coach. I paid $500 I didn't have because I believed in her message. I've been trying to get it back for 2 months. Ainsley, same. I'm a fashion micro-influencer. $500 was my grocery budget for a month. I trusted her. Tatum, fitness influencer here. Austin, Texas. I've worked with retreat organizers before. I knew something was off when she wouldn't release the guru's name, but I'd already paid. I'm in. Blair, beauty vlogger. Los Angeles. I want that bitch in jail. Count me in. Gemma, lifestyle blogger, Portland. I'll testify. I have all the emails. The messages kept coming. Single moms who'd scraped together $500. College students who'd put it on credit cards. Yoga teachers who'd been saving for months. People who'd trusted Sienna because she'd spoken their language, wellness, healing, transformation. People who'd believed in her because she looked like them, talked like them, promised them something they desperately wanted. I read every message, felt the weight of it settle in my chest. This wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't even about my family. It was about 47 people who'd been lied to, who'd been used, who deserved better. I typed, thank you, all of you. I'm going to figure out the best way to report this. It might be FBI. It's wire fraud across state lines. It might be the Arizona Attorney General, since that's where the retreat was supposed to happen. I'll research the jurisdiction and let you know. Quinn, whatever you need, we're here. Tatum. We've been waiting for someone to take this seriously. Thank you. I closed the chat, sat back in the conference room chair. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else, purpose. For the first time since Sienna's phone call 2 nights ago, I didn't feel lost. I didn't feel like I was drowning in family dysfunction and impossible choices. I felt clear. I had 47 witnesses. I had evidence. I had a list of victims who were ready to fight. I wasn't canceling the trip. I was building a federal case. I picked up my phone, opened my calendar. Friday, September 22nd, 4 days away. By then, I'd have a plan. I'd have the FBI on speed dial. I'd have everything lined up so that when Sienna showed up at that resort, expecting me to hand her my vacation on a silver platter, she'd walk straight into a trap. I stood up, straightened my blazer, walked back to my desk. My coworker looked up. You okay? You've been gone a while. Yeah, I said. Just a family thing. I sat down, opened my laptop, pulled up the spreadsheet I'd been pretending to work on, but my mind was somewhere else. I was thinking about Patricia Gomez, the 67-year-old teacher who'd lost her retirement to Sterling scam. I was thinking about the woman who'd commented on Sienna's Instagram, "This is exactly what my soul needs right now." I was thinking about Quinn and Tatum and Blair and Gemma and Reese and Ainsley and 41 other people I'd never met but who were counting on me to do the right thing. And I was thinking about Sienna, about the group text where my parents had called me selfish, about the phone call where she'd uninvited me from my own vacation. They thought I'd fold, thought I'd show up, apologize, play assistant, and keep the peace like I always did. They were wrong. I wasn't folding. I was going to war. I couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., I was in the storage closet pulling out old photo albums. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant wail of a siren on Market Street. My hands moved on autopilot, flipping through cardboard boxes I hadn't touched in years, old tax returns, college textbooks, a cracked picture frame from my wedding to Stephen. I told myself I was looking for something. Anything. A distraction from the spreadsheet of evidence still glowing on my laptop in the living room. But I wasn't looking for a distraction. I was looking for proof. Proof that I hadn't imagined my entire childhood. Proof that I had a right to be angry. Proof that I wasn't the selfish, ungrateful monster my family thought I was. And then I found it. The photo was at the bottom of a faded Kodak envelope stuck between 2 pages of a 1993 album. The colors had yellowed slightly, but the image was clear, a 10-year-old girl with dark braids and a Too Big Flyers t-shirt holding a newborn baby wrapped in a pink hospital blanket. Me and Sienna. I was smiling in the photo. My hands cradled her head carefully the way the nurse had shown me. Behind us, Mom sat in the hospital bed, exhausted. Dad stood by the window, talking on a beeper. I remembered that day, September 9th, 1993. I remembered missing the first week of 5th grade because Mom had complications after delivery. I remembered Dad handing me the baby and saying, "You're the big sister now. You gotta help out." I was 10 years old. I sank onto the floor of the closet, the photo trembling in my hands. I had raised Sienna. Not Mom, not Dad, me. From age 10 to 18, I was the one who got up at 6 a.m. to make her breakfast before school. I packed her Lunchables. I walked her to the bus stop. I stayed home on Friday nights to babysit while Mom and Dad worked double shifts, Mom at the elementary school cafeteria, Dad at the post office. I was the one who went to parent-teacher conferences when Sienna got in trouble for talking back in 3rd grade. I was the one who taught her how to tie her shoes, how to ride a bike, how to do long division. I gave up sleepovers, school dances, the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C., because someone had to take care of Sienna, and that someone was always me. I set the photo down and opened my laptop. The Excel spreadsheet I'd been avoiding all night stared back at me cold and clinical. I had started it 2 months ago during one of Mom's guilt trip phone calls about how family helps family. I had wanted to know exactly how much I had helped. Now I was going to finish it. Item 1. Mortgage payoff for Leland and Corinne. $87,000 I had paid off their mortgage in 2018 when Dad retired early due to diabetes complications. They were 3 months behind. The bank was threatening foreclosure. I wired the money the same day. Item 2. Corinne's knee replacement surgery. $12,000 insurance didn't cover the full cost. I paid the co-pay and the physical therapy bills. Item 3. Car down payment for Sienna. $18,000, a brand new Honda CR-V for her 25th birthday. She totaled it 6 months later and never paid me back. Item 4. Leland's diabetes medication 2015 to 2023, $31,000. Insulin test strips, doctor visits. I set up an automatic payment plan because he kept forgetting. Item 5, emergency expenses, hospital bills, credit card debt, loans never repaid, $102,000. I stared at the total. $250,000. $250,000. Enough to buy a house. Enough to retire early. Enough to fund a decade of vacations, charity donations, a life of my own. Instead, I had given it to them. And they had taken it. Without a thank you, without a second thought. My chest tightened. I thought about Linda, my chemo roommate at Pennsylvania Hospital. 38 years old, stage 4 breast cancer. She had died 3 weeks after I went into remission. I had promised her I would live big enough for both of us. But what did that mean if I was still playing the role I'd been forced into at age 10? What did it mean if I was still the caretaker, the fixer, the ATM? I pressed my palms against my eyes, but the tears came anyway. Hot, angry, 30 years overdue. I had survived cancer. I had survived a toxic marriage to Stephen, who used the same guilt tactics my family did. If you loved me, you'd... I had survived chemotherapy, radiation, a double mastectomy, and a year of physical therapy that left me so exhausted I could barely stand. And now my family wanted me to survive being their servant, their punching bag, their backup plan. I stood up. The photo of 10-year-old me holding baby Sienna fluttered to the floor. I didn't pick it up. My voice came out raw, ripped from somewhere deep in my chest. I raised her. The words echoed in the tiny closet. I owe her nothing. I owe myself everything. I walked back to the living room, my legs shaking but steady. The laptop glowed in the dark. The evidence folder sat open: Instagram screenshots, victim testimonies, Sterling Blake's arrest warrant, the $250,000 spreadsheet. I opened my contacts list. First, I would call Helena Graves, the lawyer who had handled my divorce. She knew how to fight dirty. Then I would call the FBI, because this wasn't about a family vacation anymore. This was about justice. And on Wednesday morning, that's exactly what I did. Helena Graves had been my lawyer for 5 years. She didn't sound surprised when I said the word FBI. Start from the beginning, she said. It was 9 a.m. I was in my office at Merck, the door closed, the blinds drawn. My coffee sat untouched on the desk. I had rehearsed this conversation in my head 3 times on the drive in, but now that I was actually speaking, the words came out cold and clinical. My younger sister Sienna sold fake retreat tickets to 47 people on Instagram. $23,500 total. She's planning to use my $37,000 Sedona trip to fulfill those promises without telling me. Her boyfriend Sterling Blake is wanted in Nevada for wire fraud. There's an active warrant. $340,000, 23 victims. Ponzi scheme. Silence. Then Helena's voice sharp and steady. Do you have documentation? Screenshots, victim testimonies, court records, a full evidence folder. Good. This is federal jurisdiction wire fraud, interstate commerce, potentially identity theft if she used your name on anything. You need the FBI, not just local police. I'll handle the civil side, restraining orders, damages, family law if your parents are complicit. But criminal, that's the Bureau. I exhaled. Can you recommend someone? Philadelphia Field Office, White Collar Crime Division. I'll text you the number. Call them today. And Brooke. Her voice softened just barely. Don't let your family know. If they tip her off, she'll run. Sterling definitely will. I won't. Good. I'll start drafting a cease and desist and a civil complaint. We'll freeze her accounts once the FBI moves. Call me after you talk to them. The line went dead. I stared at my phone. Helena didn't do small talk. She didn't ask if I was okay, or if I was sure, or if I wanted to think about it. She just got to work. I liked that. At 11 a.m., I dialed the number Helena had sent. FBI, Philadelphia, white-collar crime. This is Agent Kowalski. The voice was brisk, mid-40s, no nonsense. My name is Brooke Callahan. I'm calling to report wire fraud, interstate fraud, and a fugitive wanted in Nevada. Go on. I went through it again. Sienna's Instagram scam, the 47 victims, Sterling's warrant out of Carson City, the planned trip to Arizona, the fake retreat. Agent Kowalski didn't interrupt. I heard the faint click of keys she was typing. How many victims did you say? 47. I have their names, screenshots of payments and testimonies from 6 of them so far. The rest are willing to cooperate. And the fugitive Sterling Blake, will he be at this resort? Yes, my sister's bringing him. They think I've agreed to let them use my trip. More typing. Ms. Callahan, this falls under federal wire fraud statutes. Title 18, Section 1343. The Nevada warrant adds a fugitive charge. If your sister used interstate communication to defraud victims, that's another layer. How much time do we have? They're flying out Friday, September 22nd. The resort is Juniper Canyon Wellness Estate in Sedona. Don't cancel the trip. We'll coordinate with our Phoenix field office. If Blake's there, we can execute the warrant on site. If your sister's actively defrauding people using your reservation, that's a clean case. I'll need your evidence files. Email them to this address. She rattled off an encrypted FBI email. I wrote it down. One more thing, she said. Do not, and I mean, do not tell your family, your sister, or anyone else that you've contacted us. If they get spooked, they'll disappear. Blake especially. He's been evading Nevada authorities for 3 months. I understand. I'll call you back this afternoon. Sit tight. The line went dead. I sat back in my chair, my hands shaking. It was real now. At 2 p.m., my phone buzzed. Ms. Callahan, it's Agent Kowalski. We're in. Phoenix field office will have 2 agents at the resort Friday afternoon. We'll coordinate with resort management. Do not contact them yourself. We'll handle it. Your job is to act normal. Respond to your family. Let them think you're complying. What happens when they arrive? We wait until Blake is on site. Once he's confirmed, we execute the warrant. If your sister's actively running a scam using your reservation, we document it and make arrests. You'll need to be there to confirm identities and provide access to the reservation. I'll be there. Good. Check your email tonight. I'm sending you a secure link for evidence upload. Photos, chat logs, everything. And Ms. Callahan, yes, you did the right thing. I wasn't sure I believed her, but I said, thank you, and hung up. At 4 p.m., I made one more call. Wells Fargo Fraud Department. I'd been calling Denise Holloway every 6 months since my divorce, part of my regular credit monitoring after Stephen had tried to open a card in my name. The phone rang 3 times. Fraud investigation, this is Denise. Hi, Denise, it's Brooke Callahan. I'm calling for my quarterly check-in. Silence. Then, why are you calling? I froze. Denise's voice wasn't warm. It wasn't even neutral. It was sharp, wary. I just wanted to make sure there's no unusual activity on my accounts. I do this every few months. Right. Another pause. Let me pull up your file. Keys clicked. The silence stretched. Miss Callahan, when's the last time you checked your credit report? My stomach dropped. 2 months ago. Why, I'm seeing some flags here. You should run a full report today. What kind of flags? I can't discuss specifics over the phone. Pull your report. If you see anything you didn't authorize, call me back immediately. Denise, I have to go. Pull your report. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, my heart pounding. Flags. What the hell did that mean? I opened my laptop, typed in free credit report, but my hands were shaking too hard to click. Not now. I couldn't deal with this now. The FBI operation was in 2 days. I had to focus. I checked the credit report later. At 5 p.m., I opened the family group chat. 17 messages. Mom asking if I was okay. Dad saying I was being dramatic. Sienna posting photos of her suitcase with the caption, "Can't wait for our family healing retreat." I stared at the screen. Then I typed 3 words. "See you Friday." Sent. Within seconds, the responses flooded in. Mom, "Oh, thank goodness, sweetheart, I knew you'd come around." Dad, "That's my girl." Sienna, "OMG, yay, I'm so excited, sis. This is going to be amazing." I turned off my phone. Let them think I'd caved. Let them think I was still the same Brooke who'd been paying their bills for 30 years. Let them think they'd won. Because on Friday when they walked into that resort, the FBI would be waiting. And I was going to watch. Silence is a weapon. I didn't answer a single call for 2 days. Wednesday evening, my phone lit up 15 times. Corinne. I let every call go to voicemail. I watched the screen flash Mom Mobile and set it face down on my kitchen counter. Thursday, the voicemail started. Leland first. 3 messages, each one a different shade of panic. 6:30 p.m. Wednesday. Brooke, call your father back right now. This is ridiculous. You said you were coming. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. His voice was sharp, authoritative, the same tone he'd used when I was 10 and forgot to pick Sienna up from daycare. I deleted it. 8:15 p.m. Wednesday. I don't understand why you're not answering. Your mother's worried sick. She's been crying all evening. Just call us back, okay? Confusion now. A crack in the armor. I deleted it. 9 a.m. Thursday. Brooke, honey, are you okay? Please just call us back. We're worried about you. Honey. He hadn't called me that in 20 years. I deleted it. Corinne texted. 8 messages. No punctuation, all lowercase, the digital equivalent of hyperventilating. Brooke, sweetie, please pick up. Did we say something wrong? Your sister is so excited she can't sleep. I thought you said you were coming. Are you mad at us? Please don't do this. Dad is worried sick. If you don't call back by tonight, I'm calling the police. I read them all. I didn't reply to a single one. Wednesday night, I sat at my kitchen table and opened the evidence folder on my laptop. 47 victim testimonies. I'd read them before, but I needed to read them again. I needed to remember why I was doing this. Quinn Mercer, Denver, Colorado, age 38, paid $500 on June 18th. I'm a single mom. That $500 was my grocery budget for a month. I trusted her. I thought she was one of the good ones. Tatum Green, Austin, Texas, age 29. Paid $500 on June 22nd. I've been following Sienna for 2 years. I thought we were friends. When I asked for a refund, she blocked me. Like I didn't even exist. Gemma Caldwell, Portland, Oregon, age 34. Paid $500 on July 2nd. I just got out of an abusive relationship. I thought this retreat would help me heal. Instead, I got scammed by someone who posts about holding space and sisterhood. I closed the laptop. My hands weren't shaking. I wasn't crying. I was just cold. Thursday afternoon, Sienna posted an Instagram story. A photo of her suitcase, perfectly arranged yoga mat, rose quartz crystals, a white linen outfit, a journal with gold lettering that said, "Manifest your best life." The caption, "Healing retreat starts tomorrow. So grateful for my big sis's support. Can't wait to share this sacred space with my soul tribe." I stared at the screen. Grateful. She had stolen from 47 people. She was dating a fugitive wanted for wire fraud. She had demanded I work as her assistant on a trip I paid for, and she was grateful. 2 hours later, Sterling posted, a selfie at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport Gate B7. Backward baseball cap designer sunglasses, a smirk that made my skin crawl. The caption, "Arizona bound, big moves coming." I screenshot it, sent it to Agent Kowalski with 2 words, "He's early." She replied in 30 seconds, "We know, eyes on him." Thursday evening I packed 1 carry-on suitcase, TSA approved toiletries, comfortable clothes, my laptop, the evidence folder printed and filed in a manila envelope. My coworker Janet stopped by my office as I was leaving. "Big weekend," she asked. I smiled. "Just a trip to Arizona, long overdue." "Sounds nice, you deserve it." I nodded. She had no idea. Thursday night, I set my alarm for 6 a.m. I didn't toss and turn. I didn't lie awake replaying the voicemails or imagining what would happen Friday. I just closed my eyes and slept, deeply, dreamlessly, the sleep of someone who knows exactly what they're doing. Friday morning, September 22nd, 6 a.m. The alarm went off. I opened my eyes. 1 year ago today, Dr. Patel had called me into her office at Pennsylvania Hospital and said the words, "I've been waiting 6 months to hear, you're cancer-free." I had cried for an hour. Today I didn't cry. I got out of bed, showered, dressed, checked my phone. No new messages. Good. I grabbed my suitcase, my keys, and the printed evidence folder. Walked out the door. Locked it behind me. My Uber was waiting. "Philadelphia International?" the driver asked. "Yes." He loaded my suitcase into the trunk. I climbed into the back seat. As we pulled away from my apartment, I looked at my phone one last time. The family group chat was quiet. Sienna had posted one more story an hour ago, a boomerang video of her and Sterling at a coffee shop, both grinning, both holding iced lattes. The caption, "Road trip vibes with my love, Sedona. Here we come." I locked my phone, looked out the window. The sun was rising over the Schuylkill River, painting the Philadelphia skyline in shades of gold and pink. It was beautiful. 1 year ago, I had promised Linda I would live big enough for both of us. Today, I was keeping that promise. Not by letting my family use me, not by being the ATM, the caretaker, the doormat, but by standing up, by saying no, by letting the people who had hurt me and 47 strangers face consequences. September 22nd, 1 year cancer-free, and the day my family would learn what accountability looked like. Cathedral Rock blazed red against the Arizona sky. In 2 hours, everything would explode. I didn't know that yet, not entirely, but as I stood at the Hertz counter at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, keys to a rented Jeep, Grand Cherokee in my hand, I felt it, a low hum of certainty, like the moment before a thunderstorm breaks. It was 10 a.m. The desert sun was already brutal. I loaded my suitcase into the trunk, programmed the GPS, and pulled onto the freeway. Northbound, Interstate 17, Sedona, 90 minutes. The first hour of the drive was flat. Saguaro cacti, scrub brush, heat shimmering off asphalt. I kept the windows up, the air conditioning on high, and my phone on silent. 17 missed calls since I'd landed. Corinne, Leland, Sienna. I didn't check the voicemails. At exit 298, I merged onto Arizona Route 179, and the landscape changed. Red rock formations rose from the earth like ancient cathedrals. Bell Rock, Courthouse Butte, massive iron oxide cliffs glowing rust and crimson under the noon sun. It was breathtaking and deeply ironic, because in 90 minutes my family was going to walk into one of the most beautiful places on earth, expecting a free vacation, funded by their ATM of a daughter. Instead, they'd find the FBI. I pulled into Juniper Canyon Wellness Estate at 12:30. The resort sat at the base of Cathedral Rock, 12 acres of adobe-style casitas, nestled into red sandstone. Terracotta tiles, floor-to-ceiling windows, a main lodge with exposed wood beams and southwestern pottery. A man in khaki pants and a polo shirt with the resort logo stepped out of the lobby as I parked. Mid-40s, salt and pepper hair, warm brown eyes. He extended a hand. "Ms. Callahan, I'm Vincent Moretti, resort manager. We spoke on the phone." His handshake was firm, professional, but his eyes were kind. "Thank you for accommodating this," I said. "Of course, let's get you settled." He led me through the lobby, vaulted ceilings, a stone fireplace, the scent of sage and desert lavender, and down a gravel path to Casita 3, 800 square feet, king bed kitchenette, a private patio with a view of Cathedral Rock that looked like a postcard. Vincent set my suitcase inside and closed the door. "Ms. Callahan, I need you to know we're taking this seriously. I've briefed my security team. The FBI coordinator contacted me yesterday. We've cleared the adjacent casita for their use. When your family arrives, we'll handle it exactly as planned." I looked at him. "Have you ever had to do something like this before?" He paused. "Once. 3 years ago. Domestic violence situation. A guest's ex-husband tracked her here. We worked with Coconino County Sheriff. She's safe now." His voice softened. "You're safe here too." I believed him. At 1 p.m., an unmarked white van pulled into the service entrance. I watched from my patio as 3 people in plain clothes stepped out. One of them I recognized immediately, Agent Lydia Kowalski. She walked to my casita and knocked twice. I opened the door. "Ms. Callahan." She nodded to the 2 agents behind her. "This is Agent Roscoe and Agent Sarah Delgado, Phoenix Field Office. We'll be coordinating from Casita 7. Your sister's vehicle was last tracked on Route 17 southbound, ETA approximately 2 hours. Sterling's with her. We believe so. We have visual confirmation from a rest stop outside Flagstaff. 6 additional individuals, likely the influencers from your evidence file." I nodded. Lydia's expression shifted, just slightly. "Ms. Callahan, before we proceed, there's something you need to know. During our background checks, we found additional activity." "What kind of activity?" She pulled a manila folder from her bag, set it on the table. "Your sister opened 3 credit cards in your name." The room tilted. "What?" Lydia opened the folder. 3 documents. Bank letterhead. Wells Fargo Platinum Card, opened April 12, 2023. Balance $28,400. Chase Sapphire Reserve, opened May 3, 2023. Balance $32,100. American Express Gold, opened June 8, 2023. Balance $21,500. I stared at the numbers. $82,000, Lydia said quietly. "Forged signatures. She used your social security number, your employment at Merck for income verification. The bank fraud department flagged the accounts 2 days ago. They've been frozen as of yesterday." I couldn't breathe. My hands were numb. I sat down. "April," I said. My voice sounded far away. "April through June." Lydia nodded. "Does that timeline mean something?" "I was in chemotherapy recovery. April through June. I wasn't paying attention. I was just trying to survive." Agent Roscoe spoke for the first time. "She exploited your vulnerability. That's common in identity theft cases involving family members." I looked at the documents again. Designer purchases, cash advances, restaurant charges in cities I'd never been to. She hadn't just scammed strangers on Instagram. She had stolen from me. While I was recovering from cancer. 18 months, I said. Lydia frowned. "I'm sorry. She's been stealing from me for 18 months since I got sick." Lydia's jaw tightened. "Ms. Callahan, this adds federal identity theft charges. Title 18, U.S. Code Section, 10 to 28, 2 to 5 years per count. Combined with the wire fraud, the fugitive charge on Blake, and the conspiracy involving your parents, your sister is looking at significant prison time." I looked up. "My parents..." Lydia hesitated. "We'll discuss that when they arrive, but yes, we have evidence they were aware of her activities." I stood up, walked to the window. Cathedral Rock glowed red in the afternoon light. I thought about the spreadsheet I'd made 3 nights ago. The $250,000 I'd given my family over 20 years. Now $82,000 stolen. $332,000. And they had the audacity to call me selfish. Vincent's voice crackled over the walkie-talkie on the table. "Ms. Callahan, we have a situation at the front desk." Lydia picked up the radio. "Go ahead." "Large group just arrived. 8 people. They're asking for Brooke Callahan. The woman in charge says she's family. Name's Sienna." Lydia looked at me. I looked at the 3 credit card statements on the table. Then I stood. "It's time." Sienna's voice echoed through the lobby before I saw her. "Where is my sister?" I was still in my casita 30 yards away, watching through the window. Vincent had given me a walkie-talkie. I heard everything. "Ma'am, if you could just lower your voice." "Don't tell me to lower my voice. We drove 2 hours. This is a healing retreat. Where is Brooke Callahan? I clipped the walkie-talkie to my belt and walked toward the main lodge. Slowly. Let them wait. The lobby was chaos. 9 people. Suitcases scattered across the terracotta tile. A yoga mat unrolled halfway to the fireplace. Someone's designer handbag knocked over a potted succulent. Sienna stood at the front desk, both hands flat on the counter, leaning forward like she was about to vault over it. Her white linen pants were wrinkled. Her hair, usually perfect for Instagram, was frizzy from the humidity. Behind her, Sterling, backward baseball cap, sunglasses pushed up on his forehead, arms crossed, smirking. And 7 women. I recognized them from the evidence files. Tatum Green, Austin, fitness influencer, 22,000 followers. Blair Sutton, Los Angeles, beauty guru, 18,000 followers. Gemma Caldwell, Portland, lifestyle blogger, 12,000 followers. Reese Donovan, Denver, wellness coach, 9,000 followers. Ainsley Porter, Nashville, fashion micro-influencer, 6,000 followers. Quinn Mercer, Denver, fitness and single mom, 38,000 followers. The one who'd warned me 3 weeks ago. Marley Finch, Seattle, travel blogger, 14,000 followers. They stood in a cluster near the stone fireplace, clutching their phones, whispering. Vincent stood behind the front desk, calm, hands folded. His voice was even. Ms. Callahan, I understand your frustration, but as I explained, the reservation is for 3 casitas. Callahan party only. No additional guests are authorized. My sister paid for this. Sienna's voice cracked. This is my event. This is my crew. We're filming a wellness retreat for my platform. Do you know how many people follow me? I'm sure it's impressive, Vincent said. However, commercial filming on this property requires permits filed with Coconino County. You don't have them. We don't need permits. This is content. Content filmed for commercial purposes requires permits. Sterling stepped forward. Look, man. His voice was low, threatening. I don't think you understand the situation. We've got contracts, sponsorships. We're not just some random tourists. If you don't give us access, I'll have my lawyer. Vincent didn't blink. Mr. Blake. Sterling froze. You have an active warrant out of Carson City, Nevada. Wire fraud, securities fraud, $340,000, 23 victims. The lobby went silent. Sterling's face drained of color. The warrant was issued June 9th. You've been evading arrest for 3 months. Sterling took a step back. This is insane. You can't just... He turned toward the main entrance. A man in a resort polo shirt stepped into the doorway. 6'2", arms the size of tree trunks, earpiece. Miguel. Security. Sterling spun toward the service entrance. Another guard, a woman. Short dark hair, cop stance. Anya. He looked at the patio doors. Darius stood there, arms crossed. Sterling's breathing quickened. You can't keep me here. That's illegal. You're free to leave, Vincent said calmly. But Coconino County Sheriff has been notified. They'll be here shortly. The 7 influencers were no longer whispering. Quinn stepped forward. Wait. Her voice was sharp. What retreat? Sienna spun around. Quinn, babe, just let me handle this. No. Quinn's eyes narrowed. What? Retreat? Tatum pulled out her phone, started scrolling. Sienna, you said this was an all-inclusive package. Meals, spa treatments, workshops. You said there'd be a wellness coordinator and a chef and... There will be. Sienna's voice was shrill now. Brooke, she's being difficult. Where's the staff? Blair asked. There's no staff, Gemma said quietly. She was staring at her phone. I just Googled this place. Juniper Canyon doesn't offer group retreats. It's private casita rentals only. Marley's face went pale. Sienna, did you sell us tickets to a retreat that doesn't exist? Of course it exists. My sister paid for it. She's just... Where is your sister? Reese's voice was ice. Sienna grabbed her phone, dialed. I felt the vibration in my pocket. I didn't answer. Brooke. Sienna screamed into the phone. I know you're here, pick up. This is ridiculous. These people are treating us like criminals. She hung up, dialed again. Voicemail. You are being so selfish right now. I can't believe you after everything I've done for this family. You owe me. You owe... I turned off my phone. Through the lobby windows, I saw a car pull into the parking lot. A silver Honda Accord. Leland and Corinne. They got out, looked through the glass doors, saw the crowd, the suitcases, Sterling pacing, Sienna shouting into her phone. Corinne's hand flew to her mouth. Leland's jaw set. They rushed toward the entrance. Miguel stepped aside to let them in. "What in God's name is going on?" Leland's voice boomed. Sienna whirled around. "Daddy, thank God they won't let us check in. They're saying we don't have permits and Sterling has some kind of warrant," Vincent supplied. "Wire fraud, $340,000. Leland's face went red. "That's absurd. Sterling's a businessman. He's a fugitive," Vincent said. Corinne grabbed Sienna's arm. "Honey, maybe we should just go. We can find another place." "No," Sienna yanked her arm away. "Brooke invited us. She paid for this. She can't just—" "Ms. Callahan didn't invite 9 people," Vincent said. "She reserved 3 casitas for her immediate family. You brought an unauthorized film crew to a private retreat." Quinn laughed. It wasn't a kind laugh. "Film crew. Jesus, we paid $500 each for this retreat, Sienna. Where's that money?" Sienna's eyes went wide. It went toward expenses." "What expenses?" Tatum's voice was sharp now. "We brought our own food, our own equipment. You told us everything was included." "It is included, Brooke, just stop lying." Quinn's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "You scammed us, didn't you?" Sterling made a run for it. He bolted toward the service entrance, the one behind the front desk marked Staff Only. Miguel moved faster. He didn't tackle Sterling, didn't touch him, just stepped into the doorway, 6'2" and 220 pounds of immovable mass. Sterling skidded to a stop. "Get out of my way!" "Can't do that, sir. I'll sue this entire resort." "You're welcome to try," Vincent said from behind the desk, "but right now you're trespassing on private property, and you're a fugitive. So I'd suggest you sit down and wait for the sheriff." Sterling's hands clenched into fists. For a moment, I thought he might swing. Then his shoulders sagged. He sat down on the stone bench by the fireplace, put his head in his hands. The lobby doors opened. I stepped inside. The afternoon sun streamed in behind me, backlighting my silhouette. Every head turned. The 7 influencers, Sterling, Leland and Corinne, Vincent, and Sienna. Her face went from flushed red to bone white in the span of a heartbeat. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. I looked at her, and I smiled. "Hello, Sienna. All right. This is the moment you've been waiting for. But before I reveal what happened when Brooke walked into that room and faced her entire family, I need to know you're ready. Comment 1 if you've been here since the beginning and you're gripping your phone right now. Comment 2 if you just jumped in and you're trying to understand why someone would call the FBI on their own family. Because what's coming next, the FBI screaming, and a truth no one saw coming. And before we continue, this story blends fictional elements to illustrate a deeper lesson. If this content isn't for you, this is your moment to pause. The lobby went silent for exactly 3 seconds. I could hear the hum of the air conditioning, the crackle of the fireplace, someone's suitcase wheels squeaking against terracotta tile, 23 people holding their breath. Then Sienna started screaming. "Finally!" Her voice cracked like breaking glass. "Brooke, tell them this is a mistake. We have a reservation. We drove 2 hours. Tell them to let us check in." I didn't move, didn't smile, didn't blink. Just looked at her. "No," I said. My voice was flat, cold. "You don't." Her face twisted. Confusion, then anger. "What are you talking about? You invited us. You said we could come. You said—" I said, "See you Friday." I let each word drop like a stone. I didn't say you could bring a film crew. I didn't say you could scam people and use my money to cover it up. Leland stepped forward. His jaw was set, shoulders squared. The same posture he'd used when I was 16 and came home past curfew. When I told him I wanted to go to college out of state. When I said I was getting divorced. The posture that said, "I'm the authority here. Brooke, stop this tantrum right now. We're family. We can work this out like adults." I laughed. It wasn't a kind laugh. It was sharp, bitter. "Family?" I turned away from him, looked at the 7 influencers clustered by the stone fireplace. They were still holding their phones, still recording. Good. Let them. How much did she charge you? I asked. My voice carried across the lobby. $500 each for a retreat with a guru, organic meals, spa treatments, vortex hikes with a spiritual guide. Tatum's eyes went wide, her phone dipped. Wait, her voice was small. There's no guru. There never was. I turned back to Sienna. She was shaking her head, hands up like she could physically push my words away. You sold 47 people tickets to a retreat that didn't exist, I said. You plan to use my $37,000 vacation to make it look real, film it, post it, keep the money. And when they asked for refunds, you blocked them. Gemma's voice came from the fireplace, quiet, shaking. I asked for a refund 3 weeks ago. You told me it was against policy. There was no policy, I said, because there was no retreat. Blair's phone was shaking in her hand. You said your sister was sponsoring this. You said she wanted to help. She lied, I said. Sienna's voice was shrill now. That's your lying, Brooke. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to ruin me? I took a breath. 3 credit cards, I said. My voice didn't shake. Opened in my name. Wells Fargo, Chase Sapphire Reserve, American Express Gold, $82,000. You stole my identity for 18 months, forged my signature, used my social security number, my employment at Merck. I paused. While I was recovering from cancer, the lobby erupted. Gasps. A woman near the front desk, one of the other guests, put her hand over her mouth. Phones raised higher. Tatum backed up 3 steps. Blair whispered something to Gemma. The 6 influencers formed a half circle, away from Sienna, like she was radioactive. Quinn's voice cut through the noise, sharp, furious. You told us your sister was helping you. You said she was supporting your business. You said, she was, Sienna's voice cracked. She's being dramatic. She's always been like this. Ever since we were kids. She's jealous because I have a platform and she's just some corporate... Sterling grabbed her arm, pulled her close. His back was to me, but I saw his mouth move. Heard the whisper. The lobby was stone quiet now. Everyone heard it. You said she'd never find out. Sienna's face went white. She yanked her arm away, spun on him. Shut up, Sterling! But it was too late. The 6 influencers were already backing toward the door, phones out, recording everything. Sterling had just confessed, on camera. Leland's voice boomed across the lobby. Enough! He pointed at me. His fingers shook. Your sister made mistakes. Fine. But family forgives. You don't air this out in public. You don't humiliate people like this. We raised you better than this. I turned to face him, slowly. You didn't raise me. His face went red. Excuse me. You didn't raise me. I said again, louder. You worked double shifts and left me to raise her. I pointed at Sienna. From the time I was 10 years old, I fed her. I got her ready for school. I went to her parent-teacher conferences when you were too tired. I gave up my childhood so you could work and she could have one. Corinne stepped forward. Her hands were shaking, clasped together like she was praying. Brooke, sweetheart, that's not fair. We were doing our best. She paid you. Corinne froze. Her face drained of color. I looked at my father, then my mother. $15,000. My voice was quiet now, deadly quiet. Sienna paid you $15,000 to gaslight me, to call me selfish, to tell me I owed her this trip, to convince me I was the problem. Corinne's mouth opened. No sound came out. She didn't deny it. Leland did. That was for medical bills. You don't understand the situation. I understand perfectly. My voice was rising now, heat flooding my chest, my throat. You sold me. Your daughter, the one who survived cancer, the one who paid off your mortgage, the one who sent you money every single month for 7 years. We didn't sell you. You took $15,000 from a scammer. My voice echoed off the vaulted ceiling, from your other daughter to manipulate me. The lobby was dead silent. Even the guests at the far end, a couple checking in a woman in yoga pants holding a green smoothie, an older man reading a newspaper, had stopped moving. Everyone was staring. Corinne's face crumpled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Her voice was barely a whisper. I thought, she needed it more. You have a career. You're stable. You're strong. You always land on your feet. I thought, I'm stable because I worked. I was shaking now, hands clenched into fists. I worked through chemotherapy. I worked through divorce. I worked while you let her steal from me. Scam people. Use me like I was nothing but an ATM. Leland took a step toward me. His finger jabbed the air between us. You ungrateful little... Something inside me snapped. I raised her. My voice cracked, shattered, echoed off the stone walls, the vaulted ceiling, the floor-to-ceiling windows. I paid your bills. I survived cancer for this. I don't owe you. I don't owe her. I don't owe you my whole life. The words tore out of me, raw, bloody. 30 years of silence ripped open. My chest heaved. Tears streamed down my face, but my voice didn't waver. I gave you $250,000 over 20 years. I paid your mortgage, your medical bills, her car, her rent. I showed up. I helped. I sacrificed my childhood to raise a sister who grew up to steal from me. I turned to Sienna. She was sitting on the floor now, knees pulled to her chest, sobbing. Mascara streaked down her face. Designer white linen pants covered in dust from the terracotta tile. And you, my voice broke. You stole from me while I was dying. Sienna looked up, her eyes red, swollen. I didn't mean, you did. The lobby was silent. 23 people. Not one of them moved. Not one of them spoke. 7 phones still recording. The fireplace crackled. Outside, a raven called. I felt a presence beside me. Vincent. He didn't touch me. Didn't say anything. Just stood there. Close enough that I could feel the warmth of him, the solid weight of another human being who wasn't asking me for anything, who wasn't taking, just there. I took a breath. My hands were still shaking, but I wasn't alone. Then I saw the lights, blue, red, flashing through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The sound of engines, gravel crunching under tires. 3 black SUVs pulled into the circular drive. Car doors opened, slammed shut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The main doors of the lodge swung open. Agent Lydia Kowalski stepped inside. Tall, composed, dark blazer over a white button-down, FBI badge clipped to her belt. 2 agents flanked her. Agent Roscoe, lean, wire-rimmed glasses, tech crimes specialist. Agent Sarah Delgado, Latina, 40-something, white-collar fraud division, 15 years with the Bureau. Behind them, 2 more agents in tactical gear, Coconino County Sheriff's deputies. Kowalski held up her badge. Gold shield, navy blue letters, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Her voice was calm, professional, unyielding. FBI, nobody move. Agent Kowalski's badge caught the afternoon light. Gold shield, navy blue letters, Federal Bureau of Investigation. 4 more agents filed in behind her, 2 in dark blazers, 2 in tactical gear, Coconino County Sheriff patches on their sleeves. The lobby was frozen. 23 people. No one moved. No one breathed. Kowalski's voice cut through the silence. Calm, professional. The voice of someone who'd done this 100 times before. Sienna Callahan. Sienna looked up from the floor. Mascara streaked down her face in black rivers. White linen pants covered in dust from the terracotta tile. Her hands were trembling. You're under arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, and bank fraud. Sienna's mouth opened, closed, opened again. What? No, I didn't. 2 agents moved forward. Agent Sarah Delgado and a male agent I hadn't met. Both in dark blazers, both moving with the calm efficiency of people who knew exactly what they were doing. Delgado pulled Sienna to her feet. Not rough, not gentle, just professional. Turn around, hands behind your back. No. Sienna thrashed, tried to pull away. I didn't do anything. She's lying. Brooke, tell them. The handcuffs clicked, cold steel around her wrists. The sound echoed in the silent lobby. Sienna screamed, a raw animal sound that made the guests near the front desk flinch. She's crazy. She's always been crazy. This is revenge. She's making this up. Kowalski stepped closer. Her face was impassive. She'd heard it all before. Her voice didn't rise, didn't waver. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Do you understand these rights? Sienna was sobbing now, hyperventilating, her chest heaving. This isn't Brooke. Kowalski's voice was steel. Do you understand these rights? Sienna's voice cracked. Yes. Kowalski's expression didn't change, didn't soften. I strongly suggest you use that right. Sterling bolted. He'd been sitting on the stone bench by the fireplace, head in his hands, shoulders slumped. Now he was on his feet, running toward the patio doors, the glass ones that led to the meditation garden. Agent Roscoe was faster. He didn't tackle Sterling, didn't shout, didn't draw his weapon. Just stepped into his path, calm, steady. Sterling tried to shove past him. Roscoe grabbed his wrist, twisted, spun him around in one smooth motion. 2 seconds. Sterling was face down on the terracotta tile, arms wrenched behind his back, handcuffs snapping shut with a sharp metallic click. One of the tactical agents, a man built like a linebacker, 6'3" and 240 pounds, knelt on Sterling's back. Not hard, not violent, just enough pressure to keep him still. Kowalski walked over, looked down. Her voice was clinical, detached. Sterling James Blake, you're under arrest for fugitive flight. Active warrant out of Carson City, Nevada. Wire fraud. Securities fraud. $340,000, 23 victims. Sterling's face was pressed against the tile. His backward baseball cap had fallen off. His sunglasses were cracked. His voice was muffled, flat. I want a lawyer. Smart, Kowalski said. She nodded to the tactical agents. They hauled Sterling to his feet. He didn't struggle, didn't scream like Sienna, just stood there, shoulders slumped, hands cuffed behind his back. He looked at Sienna, and something in his expression shifted, calculating, cold, strategic, like he'd already made a decision, like he was already planning his next move. Leland stepped forward. His face was red, his jaw set. Now wait just a damn minute, you can't. Kowalski turned. Her expression was neutral, professional. Mr. Callahan, Mrs. Callahan, you're not under arrest yet, but we need you to come with us for questioning. Conspiracy to commit fraud, accepting proceeds of criminal activity. Corinne's face crumpled. Her hands flew to her mouth. I didn't know. Ma'am, I need you to come with me. Agent Delgado gestured toward the door. Her voice was softer now, less clinical. She'd seen this before. Elderly parents caught in the middle of their children's crimes. Corinne looked at Leland. Her eyes were wide, panicked. He said nothing, just stared straight ahead, jaw clenched, face gray, the color of old concrete. Delgado's voice softened even more. You're not being arrested, not yet, but we have evidence you accepted $15,000 from your daughter as part of a fraud conspiracy. We need your statements. You can cooperate. Or we can get a warrant. Corinne started crying, quiet sobs, her shoulders shaking. Leland put a hand on her shoulder. His hand was trembling. We'll cooperate, he said. His voice was hollow, empty, like all the air had been sucked out of him. They walked toward the door. No handcuffs, but 2 agents flanked them, one on each side, not touching, just close enough to make it clear they weren't free to leave. The 7 influencers were clustered by the stone fireplace. They'd stopped whispering, stopped recording. They were just watching now, eyes wide, phones in their hands. Agent Delgado approached them, pulled out a notepad and pen. Ladies, I need statements from each of you. Date you paid, amount, communication with Ms. Callahan, anything she promised, anything she said when you asked for refunds. Quinn stepped forward. Her jaw was set. Her eyes were clear. I'll go first. Delgado nodded. The other 6 waited. Phones out, recording, documenting. This wasn't just their story anymore. It was evidence. Tatum walked toward me. I hadn't moved, hadn't spoken. I was still standing in the center of the lobby, Vincent beside me. Silent, solid. Watching. Tatum's eyes were red, swollen, but her voice was steady. She opened her arms, hugged me. I didn't hug back. I couldn't move. My arms hung at my sides. You saved us, she whispered into my shoulder. Thank you. Blair stepped forward. Her voice was fierce. We'll testify, whatever you need. We'll be there. Gemma nodded. Her voice was quiet but firm. All of us. Reese, Ainsley, Quinn, Marley. 7 voices. One promise. Sienna was being led toward the door. Agent Delgado had her by the arm. Not rough, not gentle, just firm. Sienna twisted in her grip, looked back at me. Her face was a mess. Mascara, tears, dust. Her voice was raw, broken. "This is all your fault, Brooke. You did this. You ruined my life." I stared at her, said nothing. She was loaded into the back of a black Chevy Suburban. The door slammed shut. The sound echoed across the circular drive. Sterling was next. 2 tactical agents walked him out, one on each side. His head was down, his shoulders slumped. He didn't scream, didn't look at Sienna, just glanced back at me for 1 second. His expression was blank, empty. But his eyes, there was something there, something cold, strategic, like he'd already decided which side he was on. Leland and Corinne were escorted to a 3rd vehicle, a 2nd black Suburban. Corinne was still crying, her face buried in her hands. Leland's face was stone, gray, lifeless. The engines started. One by one, low rumbles. The SUVs pulled out of the circular drive, gravel crunching under tires, blue-red lights fading into the distance. The lobby was silent. Guests had disappeared, retreated to their rooms. Security had stepped back. The influencers were giving statements in the corner, quiet voices, nodding heads. It was just me and Vincent. I couldn't stop shaking. My hands, my legs, my jaw. Vincent walked to the bar behind the front desk, poured a glass of water from the pitcher. Ice clinked against the glass. Handed it to me. I stared at it, the condensation beating on the outside, the ice floating at the top. "Drink," he said quietly. I did. The water was cold. It hurt going down, like swallowing shards of glass. "It's over," I whispered. Vincent looked at me. His eyes were kind, steady, warm brown, the kind of eyes that had seen things, that understood. "Not quite," he said gently. "Now you heal." Vincent led me back to the casita. I couldn't remember the path. Had we turned left at the fountain or right? Was there a fountain? Everything was blurry, distant, like I was watching myself from somewhere far away, like I was floating 3 feet above my body, observing a stranger walk through a desert resort in the fading afternoon light. Vincent opened the door to Casita 3, gestured me inside. I walked in, stood in the middle of the room, didn't know what to do next. The FBI interview had lasted 2 hours. Agent Kowalski and Agent Delgado in the private office of Casita 7. Recording device on the table between us. Red light blinking, steady, accusatory. They asked questions. I answered. "When did you first discover your sister's scam?" June 20th, Instagram comments. "How many victims did you identify?" 47. "When did you learn about the identity theft?" "Today, 1:30 p.m., you told me." My voice sounded mechanical, flat, like a computer reading a script. I handed over the evidence folder, 47 screenshots printed and labeled, victim names, payment dates, Sienna's responses, everything organized in plastic sheet protectors, color-coded tabs. I handed over my laptop, password written on a Post-it note, blue ink, my handwriting. I handed over my phone, passcode 0922, my cancer-free anniversary, the day I'd thought my life was starting over. They took it all. Kowalski looked at me. Her expression was neutral, professional. "Ms. Callahan, you did the right thing." I nodded. I didn't feel anything. "We'll need a full formal statement Monday, Phoenix Field Office, 9 a.m. Can you be there?" "Yes." "For now, rest. You've been through enough today." I stood up, walked out. Vincent was waiting in the lobby, standing near the stone fireplace, hands in his pockets, not hovering, not watching, just there. The 7 influencers were there too, clustered near the front desk, phones out, whispering. Tatum saw me first. She crossed the lobby, threw her arms around me. "You're a hero," she said. Her voice broke. "You saved us." I stood there, arms at my sides, stiff. "I don't feel like a hero." Blair stepped forward. Her eyes were red, but her voice was steady. "We'll be at the trial, all of us, whatever you need." Quinn pulled out her phone. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Let's exchange numbers. We're a community now." She created a group text, typed in my number, hit send. My phone buzzed in Kowalski's evidence bag somewhere in Casita 7. Quinn held up her screen. Sienna Survivors. I stared at the name. Survivors. Was that what we were? Gemma squeezed my hand. Reese hugged me. Ainsley said something about making a video, about telling their followers, about justice. I nodded at all of it. I couldn't process any of it. Vincent walked me back to the casita. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't try to make conversation. He just walked beside me, steady, quiet, his footsteps crunching on the gravel path. Inside, he turned on the gas fireplace. The evening chill was already settling in. Desert air, dry, cold once the sun went down. He closed the curtains, blocking out the view of Cathedral Rock, the red stone that had witnessed everything. He left, came back 5 minutes later with a tray, chamomile tea in a white ceramic mug, a wool blanket folded neatly, a protein bar and a bottle of water on the nightstand. "Do you need anything?" he asked. "Food company or quiet?" I looked at him. His eyes were kind, warm brown, not pitying, not curious, just present. "Quiet," I whispered. "Thank you." He nodded. "I'm in the main lodge if you need anything. Dial 0 on the phone." He left. The door clicked shut, and I was alone. I sat on the couch, stared out the window at Cathedral Rock through the gap in the curtains. The sun was setting. The red sandstone glowed orange, then pink, then deep crimson, then purple, the colors shifting like a slow-motion fire. It was beautiful. I didn't feel it. The tea sat on the table in front of me, steam rising in delicate curls, the smell of chamomile and honey. I didn't drink it. I just sat. Time passed. I don't know how much. The room grew darker. The fireplace cast flickering shadows on the walls. At some point, I stood up, walked to the bathroom, turned on the shower, waited for the water to get hot, watched the steam fill the small space, fogging the mirror, condensation dripping down the tiles. I stepped in. The water hit my skin. Hot, almost too hot, and something inside me cracked. I slid down the tile wall, sat on the shower floor, knees pulled to my chest, water pounding on my back, my shoulders, my head, and cried. Not quiet tears, not dignified grief, ugly, gasping sobs that tore out of my chest like something feral, like something that had been caged for 30 years and finally broke free. I cried for the family I'd wanted, the one I'd imagined as a kid, the one where my parents were proud of me, where my sister loved me, where we gathered for holidays and laughed and no one kept score, where love wasn't conditional, where I wasn't just a bank account with a pulse. I cried for the family I actually had, the one that took and took and took, until I had nothing left to give, until I was just a shell, a function, a solution to their problems. I cried for Linda, my chemo roommate, the woman who died 3 weeks after I'd been declared cancer-free, for the promise I'd made her, live big enough for both of us. Had I done that, or had I just survived? I touched the scar across my chest, the pink line where they'd cut me open, where they'd removed the cancer, where they'd saved my life. I'd lived, but for what? To destroy my family? To send my sister to prison? To watch my parents driven away in the back of an FBI vehicle? The water ran cold. I didn't move. I sat there until I was shivering, until my fingers were pruned, until my lips were blue, until I had no tears left. I stood up, turned off the water, wrapped myself in a towel, white, soft, resort logo embroidered in the corner. Looked in the mirror. My eyes were swollen, red, bloodshot. My hair dripped onto the tile. My face was pale, hollow. I looked like a ghost. I thought about the photo from 3 nights ago. 10-year-old me, holding newborn Sienna, smiling, hopeful. I'd loved her. I'd raised her. And she'd stolen from me. While I was dying, they're gone, I thought. Really gone. I'd done that. I'd called the FBI. I'd stood in that lobby and exposed every lie, every crime, every betrayal. I'd destroyed my family. No, I stopped. Looked at myself in the mirror. Really looked. They destroyed themselves. I just stopped letting them destroy me. I walked to the bedroom, pulled on a t-shirt, gray, soft from too many washings, climbed into bed. My hair was still damp, cold against the pillow. I was still wearing the towel under the shirt. I didn't care. I pulled the blanket up to my chin, closed my eyes, and fell asleep. It was 8:30 p.m. The sun hadn't fully set. The sky outside was still purple, fading to black, but I was gone. I woke to light, soft, golden, Saturday morning light, September 23rd. I lay there for a long time, staring at the ceiling, white stucco, wooden beams, Southwestern style. 1 year ago, I'd been told I was cancer-free. 1 year and 1 day ago, I'd almost died. And now my sister was in federal custody. My parents were being questioned for conspiracy. 47 people had their money back. And I was alone in a casita in Sedona, Arizona, staring at the ceiling. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty, but also lighter, like I'd been carrying a weight for 30 years, a backpack full of stones, and someone had finally cut the straps. I sat up, looked out the window. Cathedral Rock blazed red in the morning sun. I took a breath. 1 year cancer-free, and finally, truly free. Saturday morning, the sky was impossibly blue, the kind of blue that doesn't look real. Cobalt, electric, no clouds, just endless Arizona sky stretching over red rock cliffs. I woke at 7. No alarm. For the first time in months, I'd slept through the night. No nightmares. No waking up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing. Just sleep. I made coffee in the casita kitchenette, carried it to the balcony, sat in the wooden chair facing Cathedral Rock. The sun was just rising. The rock glowed orange, then pink, then that deep, impossible red. 1 year ago today, Dr. Patel had called me into her office at Pennsylvania Hospital. "Brooke, you're cancer-free." I'd cried for an hour. Today I just sat, holding my coffee, watching the light change. My phone rang at 8. Agent Kowalski. I answered. "Miss Callahan, I hope I'm not calling too early. I've been up." "Good. You'll want to hear this update." I set my coffee down. "What happened?" "Sterling Blake hired a lawyer last night. The deal was done in 12 hours. I blinked. Deal. Full cooperation. He gave us recordings, audio files of your sister confessing to the scam, text messages about the identity theft, emails proving your parents knew about the $15,000 bribe. I couldn't breathe. He betrayed her. Kowalski's voice was matter of fact, clinical. Con artists have no loyalty, Miss Callahan. Blake is facing $340,000 in fraud charges out of Nevada, 23 victims, a fugitive warrant. If he goes to trial, he's looking at 25 years minimum. And if he cooperates, 6 years, reduced from 25 with full cooperation. Witness protection after sentencing. We relocate him out of state. I sat down on the balcony chair, so he just flipped. Within 12 hours of arrest, his lawyer's smart. Blake knows he's done, but if he testifies against your sister, he cuts his sentence in half, and he stays alive. There are people in Nevada who want him dead. I stared at Cathedral Rock, the red stone, the blue sky. What did the recording say? Kowalski paused. Do you want specifics? Yes. All right. One audio file from April 23rd. Your sister coaching Blake on how to handle victim complaints. Quote, "Just block 'em. Brooke will never check. She's too busy dying." My chest tightened. She said that. She did. We have 47 text threads between them, planning the fake retreat, discussing how to use your trip to cover the scam. There's also an email to your parents. July 15th. Quote, "I'm sending you $15,000. Tell Brooke she's selfish if she doesn't let me use the trip. Make her feel guilty. She always caves." I closed my eyes, so they knew. They knew. Silence. I took a breath. What happens now? Blake testifies. Grand jury indictment. Federal trial probably early next year. With his testimony and the 47 victim statements, your sister is looking at 18 months to 5 years. Possibly more if the judge is harsh. Your parents will likely face conspiracy charges. But if they cooperate, they'll get probation. Maybe community service. And Sienna definitely goes to prison. Yes. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Thank you, Agent Kowalski. You did the right thing, Ms. Callahan. I'll be in touch about Monday's statement. She hung up. I sat on the balcony, staring at the sky. Sterling had betrayed her. The man she dated, coached, brought into the scam. He'd sold her out to save himself. It was almost poetic. At 9, I walked to the resort spa, booked a massage. Deep tissue, 90 minutes. The therapist was a woman in her 50s, calm, professional. She didn't ask questions. Halfway through, I started crying. Not sobbing, just tears, silent, steady. She handed me a tissue, kept working. My shoulders, my back, the places where I'd been holding everything. When it was over, she said, "Drink lots of water today." I nodded. At 2 p.m., I drove to Airport Mesa, a vortex site, 3.5 miles, 200 feet of elevation. I parked at the trailhead, started climbing. The trail was rocky, red sandstone, juniper trees. The air smelled like sage and dust. I didn't see anyone else, just me. The desert, the sky. At the top, I sat on a flat rock, 360 degrees of view. Cathedral Rock to the south, Bell Rock to the east, the town of Sedona below, tiny and distant. I thought about Linda, my chemo roommate, the one who died 3 weeks after I went into remission. Live big enough for both of us, she'd said. I'd promised her I would, and for a year, I hadn't known how. I'd just survived, worked, paid bills, showed up. But this week I'd stood up. I'd said no. I'd let 47 people get their money back. I'd stopped a criminal, even if that criminal was my sister. I'm living for both of us, I thought. I promised Linda I'm trying. The wind picked up, warm, dry. I closed my eyes, and for the first time since she died, I didn't feel guilty for surviving. I hiked back down as the sun started setting, drove to the casita, parked, walked to the door. There was a note taped to it, handwritten, resort stationery. "Stars are beautiful tonight. Welcome on rooftop patio if you want company or solitude. V." I stood there, holding the note. I could go inside, take a bath, go to bed early, be alone. Or I could climb the stairs. I climbed the stairs. The rooftop patio was on the 3rd floor of the main lodge, open air, dark. Vincent was there, standing next to a telescope. He looked up when he heard my footsteps, smiled. Not a big smile, just warm. Hey, I said. He gestured to the sky. "Orion's rising, want to see?" I walked over, looked up. The stars were everywhere, thousands of them. The Milky Way, a pale ribbon across the black. I looked at Vincent, and for the first time in days, maybe the first time in months, I smiled. A real smile, the kind that reaches your eyes. "Yeah," I said, "I'd like that." We didn't talk about my family. We talked about galaxies, and that was exactly what I needed. Vincent pointed the telescope toward the eastern sky. "That's Orion," he said. "The hunter. See the 3 stars in a row, that's his belt." I leaned over the eyepiece, adjusted the focus. 3 bright stars, perfectly aligned. "And that red one," Vincent continued. "Top left, that's Betelgeuse, a red supergiant. It's dying. In a few thousand years, maybe sooner, it'll go supernova." I looked up at him. "A dying star." He nodded. "But it'll be spectacular. When it goes, it'll outshine the moon. We'll see it in daylight." I looked back through the telescope. A dying star, still shining. We sat on the rooftop for 2 hours. He showed me Cassiopeia, the W-shaped constellation, always visible in the northern hemisphere. The Pleiades, 7 sisters. A cluster of stars so close they looked like a single smudge to the naked eye. Mars, red and steady, no twinkle like the stars. And then he said quietly, "My wife loved the stars." I looked at him. He was staring up at the sky, not at me. "Angela, we were married 18 years. She died 2 years ago, ovarian cancer, stage 3. She was 42. I didn't say anything. He didn't need me to. She was a photographer," he continued. "Nature, landscapes. She loved the desert. We moved here in 2021, 3 months after she died. I couldn't stay in Santa Fe. Everything there was, her." He paused. I thought moving would help, and it did, a little, but grief doesn't have a geography. I nodded. "No," I said quietly. "It doesn't." He looked at me then. "You get it?" "Yeah." We sat in silence, not uncomfortable, just present, 2 people who'd both lost something, who both knew that some things don't get fixed. They just get carried. Sunday morning, my phone lit up. I'd left it on the nightstand, silent, but the screen glowed. Notification after notification. I picked it up. Scrolled. Quinn Mercer posted on Instagram the truth about at Sienna Soul Healing. 10,000 likes, 3,000 comments. Tatum Green posted on TikTok how one woman took down a scammer. 500,000 views, climbing. Arizona Republic headlines Sedona wellness influencer arrested in FBI fraud case. I read the first line. Sienna Callahan, 33, was taken into custody Friday evening. I set the phone down, held the power button, turned it off. Not silent, off. I didn't need to watch my life become content. At 10, I went to the spa. Sound healing. A woman named Maria led me into a dim room. Candles, salt lamps, a padded mat on the floor. I lay down. She arranged singing bowls around me, Tibetan, crystal, different sizes. Then she started playing them. The sound was physical, not just heard, felt. Vibrations that moved through my chest, my skull, my bones. I closed my eyes, and for 60 minutes I didn't think about Sienna, or my parents, or the trial. I just was. At 2, I booked crystal therapy. A different practitioner, a man in his 60s, soft-spoken. He placed stones on my body, rose quartz on my chest, amethyst on my forehead, black tourmaline at my feet. Just breathe, he said. I did, and I thought about the irony. Sienna had sold fake healing, crystals and vortexes and retreat packages that didn't exist, and here I was, in Sedona, lying under crystals, feeling peace. Maybe it wasn't the crystals. Maybe it was just permission to stop. At 5:30, Vincent knocked on my casita door. I opened it. He was in jeans and a button-down. Casual. But he'd clearly showered. His hair was still damp. "Would you like company for dinner?" he asked. "Or would you prefer solo?" I looked at him. This man who'd given me space, who'd offered stargazing with no strings, who'd shared his grief without expecting me to fix it. Company when I said, "If you're free." He smiled. "I'm free." We ate at the resort restaurant. The adobe room, indoor-outdoor seating, a fireplace, soft music. The menu was farm to table, Southwestern. I ordered squash blossom appetizers, Chile rubbed trout, prickly pear sorbet for dessert. Vincent ordered the same. We talked about work. My job at Merck, operations, problem solving, the satisfaction of making complex systems run smoothly. His job at the resort, hospitality, guest services, the challenge of managing 20 staff members and a dozen crises a day. We talked about recovery, how some days were harder than others, how grief wasn't linear, how you could feel fine one moment and completely undone the next. We didn't talk about Sienna, or the arrest, or the trial. It was an unspoken agreement. Tonight we were just 2 people eating dinner, after we walked. The resort had a meditation labyrinth, stone paths arranged in a circular pattern, 42 feet across. The sky was twilight, purple fading to orange, the first stars appearing. We walked slowly, following the path. No talking, just the sound of our footsteps on stone. Halfway to the center, our hands brushed. Not intentional, just walking close. But the touch lingered. Electric. I looked at him. He looked at me. We kept walking. At the center of the labyrinth, we stopped. Vincent looked up at the sky. "I'm glad you're here," he said quietly, "even under the circumstances." I looked up too. The stars were coming out, one by one. "Me too," I said, and I meant it. For the first time in a long time, I felt alive. Not just surviving, not just functioning, alive. The attraction wasn't just physical, though it was that too. It was the feeling of wanting something, of being capable of wanting. After a year of just getting through the days, Monday morning my phone rang. I turned it back on, just in case. Helena's name on the screen. I answered. "Brooke, how are you holding up? I'm okay." "Good, because it's time for legal cleanup. The FBI wants your formal statement. Your parents' lawyers are negotiating plea deals. Sienna's attorney is trying to avoid trial." I sat down on the edge of the bed. What does that mean? It means we're in the end game. It'll take a few months to sort out, but Brooke, yeah, her voice softened. You won. 3 days of peace, 3 days of legal victories, 3 days of reclaiming my life. Monday, September 25th, I drove to Phoenix at 8 a.m. 2 hours south on Interstate 17, desert highway, saguaro cacti, mountains in the distance. The FBI field office was downtown, a tall building, glass and steel, security checkpoint, metal detectors. Agent Kowalski met me in the lobby. "Ms. Callahan, thank you for coming." She led me to a conference room on the 4th floor, a federal prosecutor, a court reporter, recording devices on the table. 4 hours. They asked me everything. "When did you first discover the scam?" "June 20th. "How did you identify the victims?" Instagram comments. 47 people. I have their names. "When did you learn about the identity theft?" "September 22nd. You told me." I authenticated evidence. Screenshots, emails, credit card statements. My voice stayed steady. At 1 p.m., Kowalski walked me to the elevator. "Sterling's cooperation is solid," she said. "Recordings, texts, emails. Your sister will plead guilty, probably mid-October, sentencing in November. How long? 18 months to 3 years. Federal prison. Depends on the judge." I nodded. "And my parents?" "Plea deals. Your father, 2 years probation, $15,000 in restitution, 200 hours community service. Your mother, 1 year probation, 100 hours mandatory financial counseling. They won't go to prison." "No, they cooperated, showed remorse, first offense." I looked out the window. Downtown Phoenix, traffic, heat shimmering off asphalt. "Okay, Ms. Callahan." Kowalski's voice softened. "This is a win. You got justice. 47 people got their money back. Your credit is cleared, and you're safe." I looked at her. "Thank you." I drove back to Sedona. The desert stretched endless, red and gold in the late afternoon sun. I didn't turn on music, just drove, thinking about Sienna. 18 months to 3 years. She'd be out by the time she was 36, 37 at most. Still young, still beautiful, still capable of starting over. And I'd be, what? Older, grayer, still working at Merck. Still alone. No, not alone. I had 47 people who'd thanked me. I had Quinn and Tatum and Gemma. I had Vincent. I had myself. At 6 p.m., Helena called. "Brooke, good news, all of it." "I'm listening." "Identity theft resolved. The 3 credit cards are closed. Balance is zeroed. Your credit score is back to 715. Fraud alerts lifted. You're financially whole." I exhaled. "And the restraining orders approved. All 4. Sienna 500 feet, no contact, 5 years. Sterling 1,000 feet, no contact, lifetime. Your parents 100 feet each, no contact for the duration of their probation. So I'll never have to see them." "Not unless you choose to." I sat down on the casita couch, looked out at Cathedral Rock, the red stone glowing in the sunset. "Thank you, Helena." "You did this, Brooke. Not me. You stood up. You didn't back down. You won." Tuesday, September 26th. Denise from Wells Fargo called at 9 a.m. "Ms. Callahan, I'm calling with excellent news. The $82,000 fraud debt has been cleared from your record. You're no longer liable. The banks absorbed the loss under fraud insurance. It's gone. Completely. Your credit report shows 0 outstanding fraudulent debt." I sat on the edge of the bed. "Thank you." "You're very welcome. And Ms. Callahan, I'm sorry we didn't catch this sooner." I hung up, stared at the phone. $82,000. Gone. Like it never happened. At 10, I called the resort front desk. "This is Brooke Callahan, Casita 3. I'd like to extend my stay, 2 more nights through the 29th. "Of course, Ms. Callahan, we're happy to accommodate." I hung up. I wasn't ready to leave. Not yet. Vincent found me on the patio at 11. "Hey, I heard you're staying." 2 more days. He smiled. "Good. Want to do yoga? I booked a private instructor. Thought you might need to stretch." I looked at him. "You do yoga?" "Badly, but yes." I laughed. "Okay, let's go." We did an hour of vinyasa flow on the rooftop deck. Vincent fell out of tree pose 3 times. I laughed so hard I cried. At 2, we took a cooking class in the resort kitchen. Chile rellenos, prickly pear margaritas, homemade tortillas. Vincent's knife skills were terrible. The instructor kept gently correcting his grip. I teased him. He teased back. It was normal, and normal felt foreign, but good. Wednesday, September 27th. I woke at 5:30. Drove to Boynton Canyon. The trailhead was empty, dark, the air cool. I hiked alone. 6 miles, 600 feet of elevation. The sky lightened, pink, orange, gold. At the summit, I sat on a flat rock, looked out over Sedona. Red cliffs, green valleys, the town tiny below. I thought about Sienna, in a federal holding facility somewhere, waiting for sentencing, 18 months to 3 years. I thought about my parents, probation, community service, a broken relationship. I waited to feel something, triumph, vindication, satisfaction. Instead, I just felt empty, not sad, not angry, just done. I don't hate them, I thought. I just don't need them anymore. And that was enough. I packed my suitcase that afternoon, folded my clothes, zipped the evidence folder into the inner pocket. Vincent knocked at 7. "Hey, last night." "Yeah." He sat on the couch, looked at me. "I want to see you again," he said. "In Philadelphia, if you're open to it." I sat beside him. "I'm open to it." "I don't know what this is yet," he said, "but I like you, and I think you like me too." "I do? So, can I visit maybe October Columbus Day weekend?" I smiled. "Yeah, I'd like that." He pulled out his phone. Real number, not the resort line. I typed mine into his contacts. He typed his into mine. "Okay," he said. "So, we're doing this." "We're doing this." He stood, looked at me, and for a moment I thought he might kiss me, but he didn't. He just smiled. "Good night, Brooke." "Good night, Vincent." 3 months later, winter came to Philadelphia, and everything had changed. December brought snow to Philadelphia, and the phone call I'd been waiting for. I was in my apartment when Lydia called, 3 p.m. The sky outside my window was gray, heavy, the kind of sky that promised snow by evening. "Ms. Callahan, sentencing came through this morning." I sat down on the couch. "Tell me." "Your sister pleaded guilty October 12th. Sentencing was today, 18 months. Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California. Low security. She'll likely serve 15 months with good behavior. Release projected March 2025. 18 months. I did the math. She'd be out before she turned 36. Still young. Sterling Blake. 6 years. Federal Correctional Institution in Lompoc, California. Medium security. He'll serve approximately 4 years with good behavior. Witness protection upon release. He's already been relocated. New identity, undisclosed location. In exchange for his testimony and the recordings, he avoided trial. So he's free. In a manner of speaking, he'll be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his life. The people he defrauded in Nevada don't forget. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. And my parents. No charges filed, insufficient evidence to prove they knowingly participated in fraud. They cooperated. They're elderly. First offense. The prosecutor decided not to pursue. I exhaled. So they're just done. They are. But Ms. Callahan, they lost you. And from what I understand, that's a heavier sentence than anything the court could impose. I looked out the window. The first snowflakes were starting to fall. "The 47 victims," Lydia said. "Full restitution, $23,500 from your sister's seized accounts, an additional $40,000 from Sterling's assets in Nevada. Every victim received approximately $1,350 more than the $500 they originally paid. The excess came from Sterling's seized cryptocurrency assets, punitive damages. More than they paid. No one is pursuing civil suits. Good. It's over, Ms. Callahan. Legally, completely over." I closed my eyes. "Thank you, Lydia." "You did this, not me. Take care of yourself." She hung up. I sat on the couch for a long time, watching the snow, thinking about the last 3 months. October, Merck promoted me. Senior Vice President, Global Operations, $40,000 raise, $25,000 retention bonus. The CEO mentioned me by name in the quarterly all-hands meeting. Resilience and integrity. I cried in the bathroom after. Not because I was happy, because I'd survived long enough to be recognized for something other than survival. November, my 15-month cancer check, clear. Dr. Patel smiled, said the words I'd been holding my breath for. "Still cancer-free, Brooke. You're doing great. I donated $10,000 to Pennsylvania Hospital's Cancer Research Fund in memory of Linda Cartwright. Not for Sienna's future kids, not for my parents, for me, for Linda, for the promise I'd kept. December, therapy every week, Dr. Rachel Kim, trauma specialist. She taught me that setting boundaries wasn't cruelty, that protecting myself wasn't selfishness, that I didn't owe anyone my suffering. I blocked my parents' numbers permanently. Leland, Corinne, Sienna, all three. No reconciliation, no forgiveness, just distance and peace. Vincent visited in October, Columbus Day weekend. We had dinner at an Italian place in Rittenhouse Square. He ordered wine. I ordered pasta. We talked about work, about Sedona, about nothing important. And then walking back to his hotel, he kissed me. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't fireworks. It was just nice, real. He flew back to Arizona the next day. We called 3 times a week after that. In November, I flew to Sedona. Thanksgiving week, he cooked. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, just the 2 of us in his small house on the edge of town. We hiked Cathedral Rock the day after Thanksgiving, sat at the summit. And he said, I don't know where this is going, but I like where we are. Me too, I said. Now it was December. He was here in Philadelphia, staying at my apartment for the first time. We'd gone to my company holiday party the night before. He'd met my coworkers, shaken hands, made small talk. Afterward, he'd said, "You're really good at what you do." And I'd realized I was. At 7 p.m., we walked to a coffee shop, La Colombe, Rittenhouse Square. The snow was falling harder now, 3 inches expected by morning. Inside, it was warm, crowded, the smell of espresso and cinnamon. We sat by the window. Vincent ordered a latte. I ordered chamomile tea. He looked at me. So, the call. 18 months. She'll be out in March 2025. How do you feel? Not are you okay? Not do you need anything? Just how do you feel? I looked out the window, watched the snowflakes fall, thought about the answer. Free, I said. He reached across the table, took my hand. Didn't say anything. He didn't need to. Christmas was in 10 days. Vincent had invited me to Sedona. I'd said no. Not because I didn't want to see him, but because I wanted to be alone. For the first time in my life, being alone wasn't something I had to endure. It was something I chose. I thought about my family. Sienna in a federal prison in California. 18 months she'd get out, start over. Maybe she'd change. Maybe she wouldn't. It didn't matter. She wasn't my responsibility anymore. Sterling somewhere with a new name, a new life, looking over his shoulder. Leland and Corinne in their condo, estranged, aging, regretting. Maybe. I'd never know, because I'd never ask. I thought about the 47 people who'd gotten their money back. Quinn, Tatum, Gemma, Blair, Reese, Ainsley, Marley, and the 40 others whose names I'd memorized. They were okay. We were okay. Vincent squeezed my hand. What are you thinking about? I looked at him. Family. He nodded. The one you're born into, or the one you choose. I smiled. Both, and the one you escape. I thought about Linda. Live big enough for both of us. I'd kept that promise. Not by being perfect. Not by being happy all the time, but by surviving, and then slowly, painfully by living. Outside, the snow fell. Inside, Vincent's hand was warm in mine, and I realized this was enough. Not perfect, not a fairy tale, just mine. I'd beaten cancer. I'd beaten my family. I'd learned that freedom isn't free. It costs every dollar, every tear, every burned bridge. But I'd survived for this, a life that was mine. And that was worth everything. And to you listening to this story, remember this. God gave me a second chance when cancer tried to take my life. He didn't save me so I could spend the rest of my days being someone's ATM. He saved me so I could learn what freedom truly costs. When I discovered my sister's family betrayal, the 47 people she scammed, the $82,000 she stole while I was dying, I prayed. I asked God, am I wrong to want justice? And he answered, justice and boundaries are not the same as revenge. Family revenge wasn't my goal. Family betrayal was their choice. I simply stopped enabling it. Some of you are living my story right now. You're the oldest child who raised your siblings, the one who pays everyone's bills, the one they call selfish when you finally say no. Don't be like I was. Don't wait until you almost die to realize your life is worth protecting. God doesn't ask you to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. He asks you to love yourself enough to walk away when love becomes exploitation. Family revenge is exhausting, but family boundaries, that's survival. My advice, if they treat you like an ATM, stop making withdrawals from your own soul to fill their accounts. Family betrayal hurts, but staying hurts more. If this story resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Share your thoughts. Have you ever had to choose yourself over family? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. I see you. I honor your courage. And a quick note. The stories on this channel contain fictionalized elements created for educational purposes. If this content isn't for you, feel free to explore other videos that better suit your preferences. We respect your choice. Until next time, choose yourself. You're worth it.